Hare Krishna, welcome to the Bhaktivedanta Bhagavad Group Bhagavani Bhagavat-vani Sunday session. Now we've been having different time slots and we apologize for any inconvenience to yourselves, and hopefully we will hold this time as we move forward. So please stay and enjoy our program today. The program will start shortly with an opening kirtan by His Grace Satchit Ananda Das. That will be followed by a class by His Grace Satchit Ananda Das on the appearance day of Lord Krishna. At the end of the class, devotees will be able to ask questions and share their thoughts. There will be a brief announcement following that and a closing kirtan to conclude the event. So we'll start the program now with an opening kirtan by His Grace Satchit Ananda Das.
Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Vanchakalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Wishing all of you a wonderful, blissful, happy Janmashtami, and followed by Nanda Utsav and Srila Prabhupada's appearance day. On this auspicious occasion, before I start Kirtan, I would like to present one wonderful kirtan or a bhajan composed by a Vrajvasi, one of the acharyas known as Paramanandas. And there are many, many different kirtans or bhajans for the occasion of Janmashtami that many wonderful, exalted, Rasik Vaishnava acharyas have composed. So I would like to present a couple of them. They are in Vraj Bhasha, and later on I will translate them during the lecture. Hare Krishna. So the words of this bhajan that generally repeat is Dharma hi te payo yah dhan. Dharma hi te payo yah dhan. Dharma means dharma, religiosity. Even religiosity itself has obtained the highest principles of religion and the highest wealth, Sri Krishna. Dharma hite payo yaha dhana. 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 Nike rakhi Yashoda Maiya. Narayana Vraj ayo yaha dhana. Dharma hite payo yaha dhana. पायो यह धन धर्म हित पायो यह धन। जाधन ते गो कुल सुख लैयत सगरे काज सवारे यह धन धर्म हित पायो यह धन धर्म हित पायो यह धन। सो धन बार बार उरायंकर परमानंद विचारे यह धन धर्म हित पायो यह धन। ओ धर्म हित पायो यह धन। जाधन गोकुल सुख लैयत सगरे काज सवारे जाधन। सो धन बार उरयंकर परमानंद विचारे धर्म हित पायो यह धन धर्म हित पायो यह धन। धर्म हित पायो यह धन धर्म हित पायो यह धन। धर्म हित पायो यह धन धर्म हित पायो यह धन। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम प्रभु दीन दयाल, दीन दयाल प्रभु दीन दयाल। जय गोविंद जय गोपाल। केशव माधव दीन दयाल, दीन दयाल प्रभु दीन दयाल। केशव माधव दीन दयाल। अच्युत केशव श्रीधर माधव गोविंद गोपाल हरे, गोविंद गोपाल हरे। नंद दुलाल प्रभु नंद दुलाल, नंद दुलाल प्रभु नंद दुलाल। केशव माधव दीन दयाल, केशव माधव दीन दयाल। दीन दयाल प्रभु दीन दयाल, दीन दयाल प्रभु दीन दयाल। केशव माधव दीन दयाल, केशव माधव दीन दयाल। निताई गौरांग निताई गौरांग, निताई गौरांग निताई गौरांग, निताई गौरांग गौर हरि, निताई गौरांग गौर हरि। जय सचिनंदन गौर हरि, जय सचिनंदन गौर हरि, जय सचिनंदन गौर हरि। हरि बोल हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल। जय मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल। मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल, मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल। जय राधा मदन मोहन राधा मदन मोहन राधे राधे। जय राधा गोविंद राधा गोविंद राधे राधे। जय राधा गोपीनाथ राधा गोपीनाथ राधे राधे। जय राधा दामोदर राधा दामोदर राधे राधे। जय राधा गोकुलानंद राधा गोकुलानंद राधे राधे। जय राधा रमण राधा रमण राधे राधे। जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे राधे। Jayo Radha, Shama Sundar Radha, Shama Sundar Radhe Radhe. Jayo Krishna Balaram, Jayo Vrindavan Dham. Jayo Krishna Balaram, Jayo Vrindavan Dham. Jayo Lalita Vishakha, Radhe Shyam. Lalita Vishakha, Radhe Shyam. Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Gurudev, 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 Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Jaya Shodanandana Krishna Gopala Govinda. Jaya Shodanandana Krishna Gopala Govinda. Madana Mohana Hare Madana Mohana Hare Ananta Mukunda. Jaya Shodanandana Krishna Gopala Govinda. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Sachit, for this very enlivening kirtan, especially it's a preview to tomorrow, which is one of our most auspicious days in the ISKCON calendar. And that sets the tone for a very, very enjoyable day tomorrow. And we wish all our devotees a super Janmashtami and have an excellent spiritual day. And hopefully next week you'll be back. So a little bit about our speaker for today, His Grace Satchit Ananda Das, initiated by His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami, Satchidananda Das has served the mission for more than 30 years. During that period, his service varied from being a pujari, Sunday feast cook, harmonium teacher to Sunday school children. His forte is Krishna Bhajans, lectures on Srimad Bhagavatam and Gaudiya philosophy, which he has done in many countries: India, Sweden, Canada, Russia, Belgium, France, Netherlands, Germany, Switzerland, and Mexico. Satchidananda Das is fully dedicated to serving the mission of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So we'll take this moment now to welcome His Grace Satchidananda Das to give us a class on the appearance day of Lord Krishna, Janmashtami. Please welcome Satchidananda Das.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Welcome everybody again to the Bhaktivedanta Bhagavad group, Bhagavatwani. And thank you, Vaishnadas Prabhu, for a generous introduction, which I don't really deserve, but hopefully someday I will be deserving enough for every word that you have so kindly spoken. So happy Janmashtami, what can I say? You know, he is unlimited, Krishna. Hari Ananta, Hari Katha Ananta. As the scripture says that the Lord is unlimited and his pastimes are unlimited. So, you know, but we will try to even grab a drop of the Harikatha or the nectar on this auspicious occasion of Janmashtami. It's so auspicious that we've got like the double, triple bonus. Not only it's the Krishna Janmashtami that's happening, tomorrow is the actual day, but the celebrations are already happening all over the world. All Krishna devotees are excited to celebrate this Janmashtami Mahotsav, even though we are all still submerged in this COVID-19 pandemic, but the spirits are not dampened. And we see that so many devotees all over the world have gathered either in physically by registering in the different temples that are open systematically to take darshan, or taking advantage of just simply hearing kirtan katha from their comforts of their homes through the online virtual programs. So again, welcome all of you. So let me first, you know, like there's so much in my mind right now, that in my heart, that I don't know where to start when it comes to Lord Krishna, Krishna Janmashtami, and the important different, everything is important, but there are some points that I feel that should be presented, you know, that way we are more, that way we can get more attracted to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. That is our goal. And at the end of the day, at the end of our life, at the end of our, you know, whatever our goal is to be happy. And Krishna is happiness personified. He is Rasa Raja. He is known as Navanira, the Nindita Kanti Dharam, Rasa Sagara Nagara Bhupavaram, Shubhavanki Macharu Shikhanda Sikim, Bhaja Krishna Nidhim, Vraja Raja Sutam. This is a very beautiful composition that in Sanskrit that describes the beauty of Krishna, describes the position of Krishna in a very, very rasic meaning from the mellows of the devotional service in the footsteps of the Vrajvasis, or in the footsteps of those personalities who Krishna considers his very own inner circle, like his friends, like his parental personalities, parents like Yashodama, Nanda Baba, and many personalities who consider Krishna as his child, and of course his lovers, the gopis of Vrindavan. which has got such a unique and a highest position that is unparalleled in this entire creation when it comes to the definition of love. And Krishna is love personified. He is Ras Raj. Ras means the mellows. There are so many different mellows or rasas that one can find in an ordinary person. Like, for example, some of the mellows or the rasas that we can find is the same person that we know is very humorous. The same person can be also expressing sometimes anger. That same person could be very sober or very thoughtful with very little words sometimes. So, all these different moods are also known as kind of mellows. And we all have that within us. And because we are all parts and parcels of Krishna, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Mamayamsha Jiva Loka Jiva Bhuta Sanatan. All the living entities are my eternal parts and parcels. And, and because we are made in God's image, even the Bible says that man is made in the image of God. That is why Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, sometimes because of the interracial discussions and interfaith discussions and many people from different kinds of faiths, there has been many discussions that even the Bible in its purest form, or Christianity in its purest form, is simple Vaishnavism. It's basically the fundamentals of Vaishnavism are found in pure Christianity. So the statement in the Bible is 100% truth that man is made in the image of God, which is basically a translation of this verse from the Bhagavad Gita, Mamayamsha Jiva Loka Jiva Bhuta Sanatan, that every living entity is my part and parcel. And because we are very minute in our existence, in our size, in our shape, in every respect compared to God, compared to Sri Krishna. He is Vibhu and we are Anu. Vibhu means the greatest or unlimited, and Anu means we are infinitesimal or atomic. But because we are his parts and parcels, we also possess the same moods, the same qualities, the same rasa as Krishna. And because Krishna is Ras Raj, Raj means the king or the fountainhead, all the rasas emanate from him. Even the very first acronym or the Vedanta Sutra says Janmadi Yasya, these two words. And the very first two words of Srimad Bhagavatam also say Janmadi Yasya. Janam means the creation. What is the creation? Creation means not only the creation of the material worlds, but creation of the entire spiritual worlds and creation of everything that is possible. Janam. Janam means create. Adi. Adi means etc. Etc. means what follows creation is the sustenance, and eventually in the material world, the annihilation. Everything at some point must be completely destroyed for the new to come in. So all these things happen because of you, O Krishna. Janamadi Yasya. Yasya means you, my dear Krishna. Vyasdev is addressing Krishna. Everything is happening from you. Lord Brahma, who is one of the foremost of the Vaishnavas, especially in our Sampradaya, we are known as the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. And the original information or the knowledge, spiritual knowledge and even material knowledge, was first given to Lord Brahma through the flute of Krishna. Krishna actually initiated Lord Brahma. We find that all this information in the Brahma Samhita. And in Brahma Samhita, the very first verse, that Lord Brahma, Samhita means a collection of prayers, a wonderful collection that eulogizes somebody. And who is this somebody? This is Sri Krishna. That Lord Brahma, with his very first verse in the Brahma Samhita, he says that Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Ishvara Param Krishna. Where Ishwar means controller. In Sanskrit, if we translate that simply into English, it means one who is controlling, or one who has got the attitude of a master, because all masters are controllers. They tell us what to do this, do that, put this here, put that there, bring this, okay, so etc. So the master always gives commands. He's in control, he is in charge. But Krishna is the ultimate master, Ishvara Parama Krishna. We are also Ishwaras. We are Ishwaras because we are minute Ishwaras, mini Ishwaras, because we are still having those qualities as of Krishna, the Supreme Lord. But we are in a very minute quantity. Just like Srila Prabhupada used to give an example that the whole huge Pacific Ocean, it's so huge that when you are standing on the shore and when you just take a little bit of water in your hand from the ocean, and if you just taste it, you will find that it's salty and it's got the same taste as the entire ocean of salt. So the drop of ocean has the same quality as the entire body of ocean, right? Another example that Srila Prabhupada like to give is about the gold mine. There's tons and tons of gold in a gold mine. And also if we find that when we are at a jeweler's shop and the jeweler is making a nice little ring, gold ring, and he's chiseling away, making a beautiful design and heating it in his bellows, and he's blowing it up, making it red hot so he can mold it. And sometimes when it's nice and cold, just to give it the final touch, he takes his little smooth file and starts filing all the edges of the ring or the jewelry, and little bit particles of gold, they start falling in his lap. They have a special cloth to collect that gold dust, and that gold dust they later on scrape it with a wire brush, and then all that builds up into a few grams at the end of the year, and that is worth some money. But the quality of the gold is exactly the same as the main piece of gold biscuit that he has, from which he's going to transform in that into a ring or a necklace or a bracelet, etc. So similarly, Ishvara Param Krishna, the Param means the topmost controller. We are mini Ishwars, but Krishna is the Param Ishwar. Ishwar Parama Krishna Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. And what does he look like? What is he composed of? So Brahmaji has very nicely, and in many, many scriptures, he has mentioned Sat Chit Ananda. Sat means eternal. That is the quality of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so are his part and parcels. We are also eternal. That's the quality of the whole and the part. So it's Sat. Chit. Chit means he is fully cognizant. He is fully aware of everything, directly and indirectly. Even in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the very first verse, in the first couple lines, Vyasadeva mentions Om Janmadi Yasya Yataha Anvayad Itaratascha Arteshva Abhigya Swarat. Meaning, Krishna knows everything that is going on everywhere in this entire creation, from the little ant to the topmost demigod Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva, to the other personalities, his expansions, such as Vishnu, Narayan, etc. What is going on in their minds, in their hearts, what are their wishes, what are their desires, etc. He knows. So that is the feature known as Chitta, fully cognizant, fully conscious about not only about himself, but conscious about everything. We are conscious about ourselves, and sometimes even our consciousness is so limited that what we ate 2 days ago or what we wore 2 days ago, we forget. If somebody asks you, can you remember exactly today is August the 29th, but the previous month, which was July the 29th, do you remember what you ate on that day or what dress did you wear? We are not. So that is the difference. But Krishna remembers everything. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that it is not that I have spoken this Bhagavad Gita for the first time, oh Arjun. Actually, you have forgotten. I have spoken this Bhagavad Gita many, many millions of years ago to the sun god Vivashwan, and then it came in parampara, in disciplic succession. This knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, this transcendental knowledge was passed on to his son Ikshvaku, and Ikshvaku passed it on to Manu. And yogam nasta param tapaha. Oh Arjun, because of this break in this yoga practice, the break in this transcendental information, I am speaking this Bhagavad Gita to you again. And it is not that these persons that you see on this battlefield of Kurukshetra, that they did not exist in the past, they are not existing now, and they will cease to exist in the future. They will always be. But unfortunately, you cannot remember that, Arjun. I can. So therefore, he is Param. He is the topmost. Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Ananda, of course, means bliss. Actually, there is a difference, a delineation. There are two words in Sanskrit or most Indian languages, Sukh and Ananda. Sukh can be more or less compared to material happiness, but Ananda is spiritual in nature. It is eternal in nature. So Krishna is the embodiment, Vigraha, Satchit Ananda Vigraha. He is the embodiment of eternality. He is fully cognizant of everything, not only what's happening now, what will happen in the future, what has happened. Each and every detail he is able to remember. He is fully conscious. And Ananda is full of happiness. He is Rasa Sagar, the happiness. Ananda Ambudi Vardhanam. Mahaprabhu mentions in the first verse of the Chaitanya Sishtastakam that when we become Krishna conscious and when we are completely cleansed, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, Bhava Mahadava Agni Nirvapanam, when everything in this material world, in this samsar, has been extinguished, all the pangs of the miseries are extinguished due to the chanting of the holy names, due to the association of Sri Krishna. Because Krishna and Krishna's name are non-different. Krishna's pastimes are non-different. Krishna and Krishna's paraphernalia are non-different. Krishna and Krishna's pure devotees are non-different because they are so Krishnized in every aspect. Just like Srila Prabhupada, again quoting Srila Prabhupada and with an example, a cold piece of iron rod, an iron rod, when that iron rod is taken by a a smith, an iron smith, and he throws it into the hot blazing oven, what happens when he raises that temperature and when he pushes more oxygen or air in it? It starts becoming red hot. And then when he pulls it out, it is not cold iron anymore, it is actually fire. And if that red hot iron rod is touched to say a piece of cloth or a piece of wood or anything that is flammable, immediately it will catch fire, because that cold iron rod had become fireized. It has become fire. Similarly, anything that comes voluntarily and with love in contact with Sri Krishna, whether it is by hearing, by remembering, by worshipping a Krishna or Krishna's devotees, one can become Krishnized, completely Krishnized. And that is our goal of life, our goal of existence, actually speaking. So Anadir Adir Govinda, there is nobody he is the original personality of Godhead. It is not that anybody else existed before him. Actually, the Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken by Krishna to Lord Brahma in 4 slokas, in 4 verses, known as the Chaturshloki Bhagavat. And in that, in the very first sloka, during that time when Lord Brahma was initiated through the sound vibration of Krishna's flute, if you look at that picture on the cover of Brahma Samhita, you will see that Krishna is playing the flute, and there's a beautiful sound vibration that has been depicted by the Vaishnava artist. And then Lord Brahma is sitting in meditation on a lotus flower, and that sound vibration is entering into Lord Brahma's ears and entering through his heart. And when he gets that knowledge, Lord Brahma not only gets the material knowledge on how to create all the different material universes, but this particular Brahma was so fortunate that he was directly initiated by Sri Krishna through the Kam Gayatri mantra. And the Kam Gayatri mantra, there are many different types of Gayatris, but the Kam Gayatri mantra is a special mantra that actually fulfills the desire of the devotee. And especially the Kam Gayatri is the mantra that when our spiritual masters initiate us into that, that will give us the Gopi Bhav or the Gopi Prem of the highest rasa or the mellow of Vrindavan, which is in the Madhuri rasa. So those who are initiated in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, especially those who have taken 2 initiations. First initiation is the Harinam, where the Guru chants the mala, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And a vow is taken by the devotee that I will chant a minimum 16 good rounds, and I will follow the 4 regulative principles: no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no gambling throughout my life. And I will read Srila Prabhupada's books, I will read the Vaishnava's books, and I will worship Krishna in my home, deities, etc., and involve myself in Krishna conscious activities. That is a vow that the devotees who are committed, who get initiated. And then there's a second initiation, especially that is given to those who are inclined towards deity worship, where a Brahman initiation is required. But this Brahman initiation actually that the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradayas give is even way beyond the normal Brahman initiation. It is more or less that kind of initiation that will actually take us into the seva, just like when we leave our bodies and when we are perfected and when we enter Sri Vrajdham, then what we are going to do, whatever we are going to do on the altar here, whether in our homes or in the temple, all those services we will be rendering in Golok Vrindavan, like making a nice garland, like Narottam Das Thakur says in his bhajan. What is that bhajan? Radha Krishna Pran Mora Jugala Kishora Kalindi Jamune Keli Kadambe Ravana Radha Krishna Pran Mora Jugala Kishora Gathiya Malati Mala Tuhu Goro Gale Ratana Simhasana Par Do. So like that, the different services, Narottam Das Thakur is saying that I will be offering a garland made of malti. Malti is a very fragrant flower to Radha Krishna. I will make a garland and I will offer it to them. And also, I will offer them nice chandan, sandalwood paste, and I will make them sit on a beautiful golden throne. And I will be offering them different paraphernalia like the chamar fanning. I will be offering different aromatic foodstuffs to them. I will be offering them different tambul, the mouth refreshers for their pleasure. So like this, he's contemplating on his service, Narottam Das Thakur. And that's exactly what Srila Prabhupada and the Vaishnavas are training us, that when we are actually worshipping at home, offering the lamb, the different items for the pleasure of the Lord, including wonderful, aromatic, very nice, sometimes spicy, sometimes sweet, sometimes sour, a combination of all different foodstuffs for their pleasure. That is our service eventually when we go back home, back to Godhead in Golok Vrindavan. Or even if we come back, then in Vraj, this is what our seva will be under the guidance of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, who will be in his original form, either as a Manjari or as a Sakhi or as a Sakha. We don't know. Until and unless we qualify, we will not know the inner nuances or the inner, the ashtasat, the 11 different symptoms of the pure devotees that are there. So like Srila Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur and his Gurudev, all the way to Rup Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, all these wonderful acharyas, they are actually servitors in the intimate service of Radha and Krishna. So that is what we will be eventually. What we are doing here is like little children. We are imitating like our parents, like how a little girl and a boy play with the little kitchen, with the little vessels, with the little cups and saucers and the different little pots and pans, and they say, "Oh, I've made pasta and I've made dal and I've made rice. Mom, do you want to taste it?" And like that. So similarly, right now, this is the place where we have been given a chance to practice our Krishna consciousness in a practical way. Like in the Mangal Arati, it is mentioned by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti. What is that verse that is mentioned? Shri Vigraha Aradhana Nityanana Shringara Tan Mandir Marjanado Yuktascha Bhaktamscha Ninjotopi Vande Guru Shri Charnarvindam. I offer my obeisances unto all those gurus. Guru ho, it's plural. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says this. This is, I believe, the fourth verse of the Mangal Arati that we sing every day. So Sri Vigraha Aradhana, where we are taught, the Acharya, the Guru teaches us how to worship the deity. Sri Vigraha. Vigraha means the deity of Krishna. Aradhana, the worship of Krishna. Shringara Tan Mandir Marjanado. And how to decorate the deity. Shringar. Tana Mandir Marjanado. And how to engage our senses, our body, our mind for the cleansing of the temple. Tana Mandir. Yuktascha bhaktamscha ninjatopi vande guru Shri Charnaravinda. And the pure acharya, all these pure acharyas are engaging all the devotees in the service of Radha and Krishna. So that is the ultimate goal. And how do you actually build a relationship with someone? See, if you look at from our practical experience, especially those who are coming from the Indian Vedic culture background. Excuse me. Everybody has heard about this word sambandha. It's a Sanskrit word originally, but in most of languages, sambandha, if simply translated into English, it means relationship. And unless and until we build a relationship with somebody, we cannot really actually cherish a relationship in a sweeter way. A relationship has to develop to that point where first we have some information, knowledge, understanding, and then ultimately realization. So first is information, then knowledge, understanding, and the fourth stage is realization. So in our Vedic culture, even today in India, we find that there are arranged marriages, and the boys and girls are very much, they leave it up to their parents, because they understand that our parents are our well-wishers and they will indeed do the best for us, even when it comes to choosing life partners. So initially what happens, when there is a particular boy in the community that the parents have heard simply by hearing, oh, such and such a person's son, he's a very good character. So they hear it from other people. He's a very good character. He's mild in his nature. He's well behaved. Not only that, he's well educated. He's got a very good income. He's very successful in whatever he's doing. So we hear about that person. And then when the parents hear about it, and when the girl is in this example, let's say these are the the parents of a girl. So that when they hear about it, then the next thing that is happens is, because of hearing about the qualities of a person, the next thing is they want to take it to the next level by meeting the person. An enthusiasm in the heart arises to meet that person. And then they arrange through their friends and families that, hey, can we meet on a certain weekend? You know, talk to the parents of the boy. We are interested in meeting. And if they are interested, and then they hear about the girl's qualities, that how nice she is, beautiful in all respects, from her heart, from her looks, and very respectful to all the for all the elderly people, and has so much respect for everybody, such a wonderful person. So when the boy's parents hear, and the boy hears about such a girl, he's immediately attracted. So the first thing that we need to hear about, because it is due to our conditioning in the material world, it is not possible to see Krishna directly. It is not possible to feel Krishna right away. We have to keep hearing about his qualities. We have to, and once we start hearing about his qualities, then we will start remembering. And when that remembering and hearing becomes chanting of Krishna, and when just the holy names, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, just the holy names are actually Sri Krishna and his associates. The word Krishna, as all you all may very well know, you may have heard it many times, from in the word, the most appropriate name for God in Sanskrit is Krishna. Srila Prabhupada, in 1966, when he was in New York, and at that time, they all decided, with the help of some well-wishers and lawyers, to form the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, to form a spiritual organization. So many of them came to Prabhupada and said, Swamiji, why don't you call this International Society for God Consciousness? So Prabhupada said, smiled at everyone, he said. And then they also said they had a reason why. If you use the word International Society for God Consciousness, then many people will be attracted. Many people will join just when you're using the word God consciousness. So Prabhupada said, yes, God is Krishna and Krishna is God. So therefore, we will call it the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. That was his conviction, his firm faith. And that is what we all need to follow in his divine grace footsteps. We should not dilute Srila Prabhupada's mood. We should not dilute the system that has been already been invented. We do not need to reinvent the wheel when our laboriously our acharyas, especially the 32nd in line in the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, his divine grace Srila Prabhupada, has given us everything on a platter. Can you imagine 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, word to word translation? And then on top of that, he has given his purports that sometimes go into several pages for each verse. Bhagavad Gita, Bhakti Rasam Sindhu, over 100 books, small and big, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, what a gigantic works that glorifies Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Prabhupada has given it to us, and we should present it as it is. We need not use such words that yoga club or bhakti yoga club, or we need, or something divine. We are going to be discussing divine, or it's a preaching center. No, we are the Hare Krishnas. The moment the word Hare emanates from the mouth, from the devotee's mouth, from somebody who is a non-devotee, somebody is like a Jagai Madai, a scoundrel, some of them who are the most fallen in the society, who are doing the worst and the most abominable things, even when they are given a chance to say Hare Krishna, or they are given a chance to hear Hare Krishna, immediately Krishna, who is situated in their heart, he, Nandanandan's expansion as Paramatma, is so pleased that he facilitates the further development of Krishna consciousness that individual may have forgotten since time immemorial. So we can be pure instruments by not reinventing stuff. Nowadays, a lot of the stuff that is happening around is not in line with what His Divine Krishna Prabhupada wanted. So to all of us, we have that onus. We have to take that whatever little torch we can bear, but do it as it is, please. Please read Srila Prabhupada's books. Please read. This would be a perfect time to read Krishna book. Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada, actually, the book, just the name is called Krishna. And perhaps most of you all know, Krishna book is the translation in English of the entire 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The Srimad Bhagavatam, the 10th canto is like the beautiful lotus face of Sri Krishna. It's a gradual elevation. First, when we take the darshan of Krishna, we should always start from the lotus feet. And that's how the different cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the first and second canto are his lotus feet. And then the next few cantos are his thighs, his calves, his navel, his broad chest, his neck. And then the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 10th canto, is his lotus face. One should not approach the lotus face of Krishna directly. And that is the proper protocol in the sadhana bhakti, is always from his lotus feet. Slowly we should train our eyes to take darshan like that. And then when we take the darshan of the Mukhmandal, which we will actually get the darshan of the 10th canto, then all these different pastimes, the sweet pastimes, are there in the Srimad Bhagavatam of the 10th canto. And Srila Prabhupada was anxious at some point in his life, that he was thinking that he is going to translate 18,000 verses and it may take some time, and he wasn't sure, so he said that, what, even before I complete the Srimad Bhagavatam's word to word, canto to canto translation, chapter by chapter translation, let me give you all Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto in the form of Krishna book. And this Krishna book is so amazing because Prabhupada said that in case if I have to leave my body, at least I have given you the summum bonum of the entire Krishna consciousness, which is the pure bhakti or the pastimes of Sri Krishna. So coming into the today, I would like to take a little bit longer, if that's with the permission of our senior Vaishnavas, Vaishnadas Prabhu, Nanpran Prabhu, and many other Vaishnavas who have assembled. Since it is Janmashtami, try to cover some of the pastimes of Sri Krishna, especially his birth pastimes. And the reason why I'm saying all this is because when we hear about somebody, either we get attracted or distracted. Or so in the example of the wedding, pre-wedding arrangements, when they hear about the boy and the girl, they're attracted and then they meet. And when they meet, there's a time for understanding during that engagement period. And then eventually they tie a knot for the rest of their life, right? That this is my partner. So all this comes first by hearing. So hearing is a very important process, because if we hear, the more we hear about Krishna, the more we will get attracted to Sri Krishna. And that is the goal of getting attraction. So first comes sambandha, a relationship. And then once we get some information, we further kind of solidify that relationship by knowing more, hearing more, chanting the process of bhakti, which is known as abhidhyay. And then when the abhidhyay or the process is perfectly performed under the guidance of a pure acharya, then the third thing happens to us is when the culmination of pure love, the culmination of Krishna prem happens, which is known as prayojan. And that is the goal of each and every living entity. That is the goal of each and every pure acharya, to connect the living entity to Sri Krishna, because we have forgotten him. We have gone far, far away from him, in mind, words, thoughts, and deeds. And that is the reason why these acharyas come to rekindle that little spark that we have within us, and to make us remember what we have forgotten. Srila Prabhupada, when he was in the West, many people asked Prabhupada, Swamiji, like Professor Howard Wheeler in New York, he asked him, Swamiji, are you from India? Yes. So you have come here, Swamiji? Yes. I've come here to give you something that you have forgotten. Prabhupada would say, I've come here to give you something that you have forgotten. That is the Acharya's wonderful mercy. And when we get some of it, just like when we get something very nice, like somebody brings some sweets during Diwali, and we get all these different nice layout of different cakes and all, what do? The first thing that we do is, in the family, we open it, even if maybe a little small box or a little small box of sweets, we share. We share it with the family. We share it with the ones we love. Similarly, Krishna consciousness is something that we all need to absorb whatever we can and share it with others. Mahaprabhu's instructions are like that, that Bharat Bhumite Manusya Janmo Hoilo Ja, Jivan Shartak Kori Koro Poro Upkar, Amar Agya Taroi Desh, Jare Dekho Tare Kaho Krishna Updesh. Those who have taken birth in Bharat Bhumi, in the land of Bharat, they are very fortunate, Mahaprabhu says. Bharat Bhumi the Manusya Janmo Jivan Sarthak Kori Karo Paro Upkar, and make your life successful and help others to make their existence successful. Karo Paro Upkar, Amar Agya Taro Idesh. It is my order, Mahaprabhu says. Go in every town and village. Taro Idesh. Jare Dekho Tare Kaho Krishna Updesh. Whenever you get the opportunity to speak about Krishna, always speak about Krishna. Kaho Krishna Updesh. So this is our life. And when we do that, what happens? Like always there is somebody is a speaker and some are listeners. But when we become good listeners, we can become good speakers. And I'm blessed in one sense that due to the mercy of many senior Vaishnavas that have mentored me from the time I came into ISKCON, and even prior to that, my loving grandmother, who was such a wonderful Vaishnavi and a devotee, all those things somewhere or the other, it rubbed, and then I'm able to, share a little bit of Krishna consciousness with all the devotees whenever it is possible. So that is what, see, people think that, we are, or not think, most of us, when it's somebody's birthday, what do? We bring presents to them, don't we? So it is Krishna's birthday. What can we do for Krishna? Like that famous sentence of President Kennedy, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. So our bhakti level, that Srila Prabhupada is also of a similar way. Ask not what Krishna can do for you, but what is it that you can do for Krishna? This is what Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada used to say, that do not perform your seva in such a way that whenever Krishna is ready to see you, he will see you. Do not try to see Krishna. One should not try to attempt to see Krishna artificially. So these are some of the very important instructions that are coming to my heart and that are flowing today, that we should take, and then we should give something to Krishna. That is our vow. We should give. Devotees, that is the reason why Krishna himself gets attracted. The word Krishna means, Krish means attract, and na, in Sanskrit, it's a combination of two words, Krish plus na. Na means all. So one who attracts all is Krishna. One who attracts all is Krishna. And that is the quality of God. Even if we look at other definitions from different faiths, what is the faith of what is the definition in the Muslim faith? They say Allahu Akbar. So Allah means it's their God. Who? Akbar. Akbar means great. God is great. That's what they say, right? So and many faiths, So these are the qualities of God. Yes, but the Vedic scriptures, in particular, the pure Vaishnavas have made some wonderful delineations about what is God, or who can God be. Actually, there is only one God. That is true. But unfortunately, in the Hindu faith, we call everybody God. We call even the demigods God. No, actually, that is the reason, for lack of the most perfect English word, for Devi or Devta, Prabhupada had to coin a new phrase or a new word known as demigod. Uh, God is only one. And what are the qualities of God? God is, He is the unlimited beauty. He's got unlimited wealth. He's got unlimited fame. He's got unlimited knowledge. He's got unlimited renunciation. And there's one more, 6. He's got unlimited beauty. These 6. Shada Ishwarya Purna iti Bhagavan. The word Bhagavan, most people know the word Bhagavan. Bhagavan is a combination of 2 words in Sanskrit. Bhaga means the opulence, and Van means possessor. So for example, most of you all who understand Hindi, you have heard the word Gyanvan. So Gyan means knowledge, and Van means one who possesses knowledge. Somebody who possesses a lot of knowledge is known as Gyanvan, right? That even Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, Gyanvan mam prapadyate vasudev sarvamiti samatma sudurlabham bahunam janmanamanti. Gyanvam, one who is in full knowledge, one who has got knowledge, Gyanvan. So Bhagavan, Bhaga means these 6 opulences, Shada Aishwarya. One who has got all these 6 to an unlimited extent is known as Bhagavan. And because that personality has got all these 6 to an unlimited extent, he is naturally very attractive. From our practical experience, we see that somebody is extremely beautiful. Let's say a Bollywood or a Hollywood actor or actress. You're shopping in the mall and suddenly you see some very famous Bollywood actor or actress. Immediately people will crowd around. Sir, ma'am, can you give me an autograph, please? And like hundreds of people will throng around. Why? Because of their beauty. People are attracted. Somebody who was very powerful, those huge wrestlers and those big feats that they do. In our childhood, we had heard that one person took one rope and put it in between his teeth and he pulled the entire train, on the tracks, and he became a part of the Guinness Book. So people were attracted, like big wrestlers, because of their like those who are made a lot of bodily feats, like Bruce Lee. He was so famous. In my childhood, he was like Bruce Lee, I want to be like Bruce Lee. Like when I was in school and went to karate, and I had Bruce Lee pictures in my cabinet and in my drawer and in my cupboard and everywhere. And even I had those little nunchucks, that Bruce Lee had, because that was and I read everything about Bruce Lee. The most famous movie was Enter the Dragon. I saw it 18 times. I wanted to catch each and every move of Bruce Lee. And I read each and every book of Bruce Lee. Where he stayed, and mostly used to perform on the Malibu beach in Florida and in San Francisco. He used to live in San Francisco in Chinatown. And he was so famous for his speed that the directors had to say, slow down on your movements. The camera cannot catch you. You're so fast. So he had to sometimes perform at half the speed. Anyways, the point being that people, when we hear about certain people, when you get attracted, similarly, Krishna is so attractive because of the power on his little finger. 7 days and 7 nights. Neither any Bruce Lee nor any Hulk Hogan can lift a huge mountain like that on a teeny finger. So we can see how powerful he is. And there are so many different aspects and components where Krishna has displayed his power. His power is such that his expansion, Balram, he holds millions and millions of universes on his head, just on the head. Can you imagine the weight of the earth? And like that, many millions of Brahmans. That is how powerful. Therefore, he's so attracted. People, I was attracted to Bruce Lee because of his power. But now, those persons who understand the power, the beauty, the fame, the knowledge, the renunciation, all these 6 different components that are there to an unlimited extent, how attractive that person must be. In today's world, we may find somebody very beautiful, like an actor or actress, but they may not be that powerful, or they may not be that knowledgeable. Somebody can be very knowledgeable, like the Nobel laureate Albert Einstein, but he was very ugly, when we look at his picture. So none of them have all these 6 to an unlimited extent. So if somebody has all these 6 opulences to an unlimited extent, how attractive that person should be. And that is the reason Krishna, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, was given that name, the all attractive. Not only all attractive to himself, he is attracted, his devotees are attracted, he is attracted to himself, and that is why he came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna wanted to taste his own sweetness, and he could not do it. He had to become like a gopi, he had to become like the topmost gopi, Srimati Radharani, in order to taste his own sweetness. So he is so sweet, he is so beautiful in all respects, the six opulence to the highest category, and especially his sweetness is of such high par excellence that he's got these four super excellent qualities that the other avatars of Krishna do not possess. The other avatars of Krishna, like even Lord Narayana, Lord Ramachandra, and so many different avatars of Krishna, Lord Vishnu's, the different Vishnus, they've got 60 super excellent qualities. But Nandanandan Krishna, Govindamadi Purusham, has got 64 super excellent qualities. The four extra qualities are Madhurya Venu, Madhurya Rupa, Madhurya Leela, and Madhurya, the associates of Krishna. So Madhurya means the sweetest of the sweetest, the flute. Madhurya Rupa, there's no other beautiful personality of Godhead or God as beautiful as Krishna. Madhurya, Leela, pastimes. There are the sweetest of the sweetest pastimes that happen amongst all the different incarnations or the swarupas of the Lord is none other than Nandanandan, Yashodanandan Krishnas. So this makes, and then of course, due to the Leela, and especially his Shyamam Tribhanga Lalitam Niyata Prakasham, and this verse is from Brahma Samhita. Aloka Chandra Glasada Vanmalya Vamshi Ratnangada Pranaya Keli Kala Vilaso Shyamam Tribhanga Lalitam Niyata Prakasham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham. The three-band form of Krishna is unlike any other form. Nobody can imitate that. That is the beauty, the four different that makes them super excellent. So, talking about Krishna's Janmashtami, how did this all happen? Now we have to understand that in every avatar or every yuga or millennium, there are basically four main millenniums, where the Vedic time is divided into four different yugas. So this yuga is Kali Yuga, or the age of quarrel. Kali means quarrel. Prior to that, the yuga was Dwapar Yuga. Prior to that, the yuga was Treta Yuga, and prior to that, or the first yuga, is known as Satya Yuga. So Satya, Treta, Dwapar, and the fourth one is Kali Yuga. These four. And according to time, place, and circumstances, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, the most famous verse that most of you all have heard, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuttanam dharmasya tadatmani srijamiham aparitranayam sadhunam vinashayati dushkritam dharma sanstapakaya dharma sambhavami yuge yuge. So here Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that according to time, place, and circumstances, when there's a rise in irreligiosity, I come here to re-establish dharma, to establish religiosity. I come again and again, millennium after millennium. So in different millenniums, different avatars come. For example, in the Satya Yuga, we have the avatar of Lord Nrsingadev, Varaha avatar, Matsya avatar, the fish avatar, the boar, the huge boar avatar. And like that, there are so many Vaman avatar, so many different avatars. They come in the different, and then in the Treta Yuga, we know that Lord Ramachandra himself appeared in Treta Yuga. And also, after that, in Dwapar Yuga, Lord Krishna Nandanandan, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, appears. But he doesn't appear in every Dwapar. He does not appear in every Dwapar Yuga. So this is a very interesting thing. So in order to understand which Dwapar Yuga does he appear, so just to do the mathematics very easy, Kali Yuga is about 400,000 years, and prior to that is Dwapar, 800,000. Prior to that is Treta, about 1.2. To be precise, is closer to 1.3 million. And then comes the first one of the Satya Yuga, which is 1.72 million years. But if you want to make it very easy to remember, 400 plus 400 plus 400 plus 400. So 400 of Kali Yuga. When you add another 400, will become 800,000 of Dwapar. When you add another 400, that will become 1.2 million years of Treta. And if you add another 400, 1.6 million years of Satya Yuga. But actually speaking, all these combined, they are actually a very long time period. And it depends on the time. The Vedic calendar is calculated on the lifespan of Lord Brahma. So Lord Brahma, especially the one that governs our universal system or our Brahman, he lives up to 100 years old. And one day of Lord Brahma is equivalent to 1.732 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 1000. So we can say by calculation, and if you want, I can give you the exact 4.32 billion years. After every 4.32 billion years, Lord Krishna appears in that particular Dwapar. One day in the lifespan of Lord Brahma, which is equivalent to 4.32 billion years. So 1000 cycles of the total 4.32 million years. 1000 cycles of Kali Yuga, Dwapar, Treta and Satyug is equivalent to one day of Lord Brahma. And Krishna appears only once in his original form as Nandanandan. He appears as in this particular Dwapar Yuga. We were very fortunate in the last Dwapar Yuga, which is after 4.32 billion years, Krishna appeared. And we are very fortunate also that immediately after that Dwapar Yuga, which is Kali Yuga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does not appear in every Kali Yuga either. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada said this is known as Golden Kali Yuga. We are very fortunate. So it so happened that like clockwork, all the avatars come, and now it was time after 4.32 billion years for Nandanandan to appear again. So the entire world, it is just not the world that what we are seeing today. It was known as Bharatvarsha. It is beyond the boundaries of what the 7 continents that our geographical boundaries define. If we read Srimad Bhagavatam 5th canto, and also if we read Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are different Navadvips, nine islands, and then there is different bigger islands like Pushkardweep, Raudradweep, etc. And there are 7 different oceans: ocean of salt, ocean of water, ocean of sugarcane juice, ocean of clarified butter or ghee, ocean of honey. Like that, there are different oceans. There is an ocean so right now we are only experiencing one ocean, which is the ocean of salt. There is an ocean of milk, there is an ocean of ghee, like that, ocean of honey. So all these are there within one Brahman. And then there is the highest mountain known as Jambudweep, and so many different places that are there in this universal system that the mankind has not even explored. And not even all the demigods have explored all the different places. But just to give you an idea, that is Bhumandal. And this Bhumandal or Prithvi was completely at that time under the control of demoniac forces. And due to the onslaught of demoniac forces, Bhumi, Mother Earth, took the shape of a cow. She took the shape of a cow, and she went first to the different demigods, including Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. and said that, the burden is unbearable. There are so many different demoniac personalities like Jarasandh, like Kansa, and his associates and his allies that are creating so much havoc. Religious principles are diminishing. The saintly personalities are being harassed, and the demons are getting powerful day by day. Please do something. And when they approached Lord Shiva, Lord Bhumi approached, Mother Earth approached, Lord Brahma, they all were helpless. They said, we cannot really do anything much. But the only person that can really do something is Krishna. Let us all go on the banks of the Shir Sagar. Shir means milk. Let us all go on the banks on the shore of the milk ocean. And there they all started offering wonderful prayers known as the Purusha Sukta. It has been mentioned in the second canto how wonderful the prayers that were offered. And the demigods, headed by Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, they offered the Purusha Sukta, praising the wonderful avatar of Krishna known as the Shirodaksai Vishnu. Shira Udaka Shai Vishnu. Shir means milk. Udaka Shai means one who reclines in the ocean of milk, is known as Shiro Udaka Shai Vishnu. And they started praying to him. At that time, Shirodaksai Vishnu, lying on a serpent bed in the ocean of milk, at that time being very pleased with the prayers of the demigods, the Purusha Sukta, he immediately conveyed to Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma only. Although they were all on the shore of the Sirsagar, only Lord Brahma could hear the words of Shirodaksai Vishnu. And also, by the way, Shirodaksai Vishnu, his millions and trillions and unlimited expansions are on the form of Paramatma. So when we say, oh Paramatma, the Krishna residing in the heart of everyone, the Krishna residing in every atom, in the nucleus of every atom, that is Paramatma, or an expansion of Shirodaksai Vishnu. So these are all different avatars of Sri Krishna. Krishna has many different kinds of avatars. Swayambroop, or the supreme personality of Godhead in Golok Vrindavan, is known as Swayambroop. He is known as Nandanandan, or is also known as Yashodanandan. Then he has got different, when he expands himself into many that exactly look like him. For example, when he expanded himself in the Ras Leela, so that is known as Prabhav Prakash, where you can see that there is one original Nandanandan right in the middle performing his Ras Leela with Radharani, but there are other thousands of Nandanandans performing Ras Leela. So that is Prabhav Prakash. And then the Swayambroop expands himself into Vaibhav Prakash, and that Vaibhav Prakash is known as Lord Balram. And then from Lord Balram, there is Prabhav Vilas and Vaibhav Vilas. Prabhav Vilas is the four-armed. Vilas means anytime the word Vilas is used in any expansions of Krishna, which means that it is the four-armed form, the Chaturbhuja. So the first Prabhav Vilas is known as the first quadruple expansion, and the second quadruple expansion is known as the Vaibhav Vilas. And then there are so many different expansions of Sri Krishna, also known as the Swa Amshas. Amsha means the parts, and Swa means Krishna himself. And they are also different types of, or different plenary expansions of Sri Krishna, known as Leela avatars, Purusha avatars, Guna avatars, Shakta Avesh avatars, Manvantar avatars, Yuga avatars. And for example, in the Leela avatars, there are so many different Leelas that Krishna performs according to the need of the time. So those, according to the pastimes of Sri Krishna, they are known as Leela avatars. So like this, there are many different avatars. Shaktavesh avatars are like when living entities are empowered by Krishna himself, like the four Kumaras. They are the four Kumars. They are Shaktavesh avatars. Naradji is a Shaktavesh avatar. Lord Brahma is a Shaktavesh avatar. Ananta Sesh is a Shaktavesh avatar. Prithu Maharaj, Shaktavesh avatar. Parshuram, is a Shaktavesh avatar. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada is a Shaktavesh avatar. Yes, because he was empowered. Lord Jesus Christ is a Shaktavesh avatar. And like that, there are also Vibhu avatars. Very, Vibhu means very mightyful. Those who are like Lord Indra is a Vibhu avatar. Agni is a Vibhu avatar. Meru, Brihaspati, Kartikeya, Bhrigu Muni. So these are all different examples of Vibhu. But all of them, the source is Sri Krishna. So when this happened, Bhumi went along with the demigods, they all prayed, and the avatar of Krishna, Siradakshai Vishnu, spoke to Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma could hear that do not worry, tell Bhumi that she will be protected and all her problems will be eradicated. I will personally come in my original form as Nanda Nandan in Vraj Mandal. I will appear in Gokul. I will appear and perform my pastimes in Vraj Mandal, in Vraj Bhumi, in Vrindavan, etc. And I request all of you, the different demigods, to different Devi Devatas, in order to assist me, please take birth in the land of the holy land of Vrindavan. Please take birth in the Yadukul dynasty, and in the Moon dynasty. Yadu means Yadu Maharaj. He came from the Moon dynasty. And if you look at Raghav or Ramchandra Bhagwan, he came from the Surya Vamsha or the Surya dynasty. So Krishna appeared in the Moon dynasty of the Yadavs, Yadukuls. And all the different demigods, they took birth in Vrindavan, in Gokul, in all the different parts of Rajbhumi, in the Chorasi Kos, in the 84 different kosa, the 84, I think, how many kilometers is it? I forget. Kos is, I think, 1 kilometer is 8 kilometers is one kos. I forgot the old measurement. But anyways, so the entire Vraj Mandal, where we find Nandgram, Barsana, Vrindavan, the 12 different forests, Govardhan, Shyamkund, Radhakund, and all those wonderful places where Krishna performed his wonderful pastimes is known as Vraj Mandal. So you all please take birth there. And they all were very pleased when they heard the message from Lord Brahma, and they all started making preparations. So Krishna Prabhupada says that whenever a big king or a prime minister or president comes, a lot of arrangements are done in advance. We even see that, for example, especially the most famous example is the President of the United States. Whenever he's visiting a particular country, there are 2 Air Force One planes. They are huge, gigantic. And then there's also the C-130 planes. The C-130 planes carry about 3 beasts. The limousines that carry the president, they're known as the Beast. That's the name that they've been given, the Beast. And there are 3 identical beasts, bulletproof, rocket-proof, with a lot of sophisticated artillery inside and a lot of sophisticated paraphernalia. And they will not know in which particular beast or which particular limousine the president will travel until the last second. And sometimes there are 3 of them traveling on the street, just in case if there is some attack. Then the target would be one of the wrong limousines of the president. And the C-130 aircraft not only carries the Air Force, these beasts, but they also carry a dismantled 3 helicopters. They carry those as well for local travel or for evacuation purposes. So if president is going to travel to India, or if he's going to travel to Israel, or he's going to travel to Australia or any country, this is the protocol as far as and all the entire team goes, the entourage goes ahead, the CIA, FBI, the ministers, the foreign ministers, they all have already taken camp in that particular country that the president is visiting. So similarly, Prabhupada says, when Krishna appears, Krishna, along with his associates, along with his devotees, they already want to appear prior to him so that his Leela or his pastimes will become even more sweet. And that is the reason why the devotees cannot stay even without a second without Krishna. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jive Daya Kori Swa Parshad Siyo Dham Saha Uttari Atyanta Durlabha Prema Kori Bare Dan Sikhaye Sharanagati Bhakate Ropran. Krishna or Krishna's Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he comes entirely along with his associates and along with the Dham for the benefit of mankind. Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the bhajan Gopinath Mama Nivedana Suno, he says, Ashiya prapanche jivera karane lila koile shubhistar Gopinath Mama Nivedana Suno. So, my dear Krishna, you come here to perform your wonderful, uh, uh, unprecedented, amazing, beautiful pastimes just for the sake of the jiva, for the sake of the fallen souls, for the sake of us. You come here on a regular basis, and especially after 4.32 billion years, he appeared in the land of Vrajbhumi. It has so happened that during the time, Kamsa was very powerful, and he had made alliances with different uh, kingdoms like Magad, which is today's Bihar, and other Bhoj dynasty. King Jarasandh actually had given his daughter in hand, and Kans married the Jarasandh's daughter, and he was so powerful that his demoniac that he had become practically, invincible on this earth, and everybody was extremely scared of him. But although all that was happening, it so happened that Vasudev was going to get married. Vasudev was a king at that time, a prince actually, and the son of Sursen, and Ugrasen, grandfather of Krishna. They were in the Yadukul. They were the Yadu dynasty, and they were actually ruling very nicely the city of Mathura. But Kans actually captured grandfather and also, and put him in jail, and took over the kingdom. And we have seen that in today's world, and even in recent history, even as far as behind about 500 years ago, when the Mughals came to India, most of the Mughals we see, they beheaded their father or threw them in jail to take over the kingdom, to take over as king. Like that, we see that in many countries also we see that many presidents have been assassinated just so that the other party or the son or the daughter can take over the reins of the country. This happened in the case of Rajiv Gandhi in India. This happened in the case of the Bhutto family in Pakistan. So this is not uncommon. So this has been happening since time immemorial. Demoniac personalities are demoniac personalities, and they don't care about family or relationships, and that's how what they did. But at some point, there was a wedding of Vasudev, and Vasudev had actually more than one wife. One of the wives of Vasudev was Devki, and the other wife was Rohini. But Rohini, due to the atrocities of Kansa and not being unsafe, Rohini was sent to Gokul under the protection of Nanda Maharaj. And Vasudev and Devki were staying together. And when they got married, at that time, Kans was actually Devki's cousin, although they address him as brother, but he is actually the cousin of Devki. So it was his pride at that time. Even today, it is said that during the time when the sister's wedding is done and when the Vidai happens, when she's seen off from her own home into the husband's home, the brother actually accompanies the sister all the way to the husband's house. Sometimes it could be the next village over or the next town over, and it could be several miles away. And even today, in Bengal, we see that they have the palki, they have the palanquin, and the sister is put in their palanquin, and she's after the wedding taken to the husband's house, and the brother walks all along the road, along the palanquin, trying to pacify the sister, because she's going to feel so much separation from her parents, from her siblings. So like that, Kansa said, I will personally at your Vidai after your marriage, I will take you to Vasudev's house and I will put you on my own chariot and I will become the driver. I will take a very menial job like a driver. It will be my pleasure to drive my sister and my brother-in-law to their home, the newlyweds. As he was driving through the streets of Mathura, suddenly there was a lot of lightning, and there came a very a sound from the firmament, an akashwani. Akash means the firmament or the sky, and Vani means a sound vibration. Hey Kans, oh Kans, you're such a fool. You're actually driving your own death. The eighth son of your sister Devki will be the cause of your death. And immediately, Kans was looking all over. Where's that sound coming from? There was lightning, and there was a lot of bad omen that was showing in the sky. And then at that very moment, after hearing that, he took hold of his cousin's sister Devki by her hair. He withdrew his sword and he put it on her neck, and he says, I will finish you immediately. That is the Srila Prabhupada writes in the Krishna book. That is the nature of the demons. Demons cannot be trusted. One moment they can be very nice. One moment they can be very diplomatic. One moment they can be they may appear like the best friends, but it doesn't take them for a split of a second to come back to their original swabhav or their original nature or their demoniac nature. So at that time, Vasudev, who was a pure devotee of the Lord, actually the word Vasudev means, Vas means one whose heart where Krishna resides. Dev means Krishna. So one whose heart where Krishna resides is known as Vasudev. So any devotee who is also who is a pure devotee is also known as Vasudev. So this is what. So that is why we say that all the Vaishnavas, they are known as Vasudev Kutumba. Vasudev Kutum means the family, and we are all tied as a family. Our ISKCON is our family. Srila Prabhupada's movement is our family. Although we are not blood related, each and every one of you comes from different backgrounds, but we are all a spiritual family. It is called Vasudev Kutumba. So that's what we are, Vasudev Kutumba. And in Vasudev Kutumba, we all have to take care of each other. We have to be very careful that if somebody goes astray, we should help each other. We should encourage each other, not discourage. This is what this is the gift that we want to give Krishna on his birthday. We should all be very kind to each other and try to imbibe those Vaishnava qualities and become really Vasudev Kutumba. So Vasudev immediately took hold of Kansa's hand and he pleaded, my dear Kans, what are you doing? I also heard that Akashwani, I heard that sound from the firmament, and there was a long, nice conversation. Srila Prabhupada describes this wonderfully. There was a philosophical conversation from the Vedic scriptures between Vasudev and Kansa. And Kansa was also very, very educated, just like Ravan. Ravan was also very, very highly Brahmanical, and he was a Pandit. And so was Kansa. It is not that he did not know the religious principles, but when one becomes demoniac and one becomes averse to Krishna, then even those who know those religious principles will not act on those religious principles. That is the nature of being demoniac, or the nature of the mode of ignorance and the mode of passion when they are combined together. So he says, look, my dear brother-in-law, the concern is the eighth son of mine and Devki. Why are you torturing her unnecessarily? Everybody's watching. You are such a great king. You are a Mahabali. Your strength is uncomparable. People shiver when they see you. Even the demigods, they are shivering. Even Indra, they are all shivering when they see you. You're so powerful, and you're simply trying to expose your power unnecessarily on a person, and that too your sister, who is completely weaponless. You're trying to attack her. Look at her. Just look at her face. Just see, Kans. Does not your heart melt when you see her in such a situation? And Kans was not willing to give up. And right there, Sam Danda Bheda, it is said by Chanakya Pandit. Prabhupada mentions that sometimes in such a situation, then one has to be very diplomatic. If diplomacy doesn't work, then one has to give danda. One should fight. One should punish. Then one should reason, logic. So here, obviously, he could not fight. Vasudeva could not fight with Kansa. He was already armed and in front of everybody right there. So danda was not possible. Sam, logic, he wanted. So that's what he tried to give distinction, different kinds of bheda. He says, please don't do that. You will become apayasha. You are such a great warrior. It will give you disfame for beating up a woman, or for killing a woman, and that to your own sister. Look, I promise you one thing. As soon as the 8th child is born, I, Vasudev, promise you that I will bring the 8th child. You're concerned with the 8th child. You won't even have to ask for that. My dear Kansa, please let her go. I plead you. So then Kans was immediately convinced when Vasudeva said that I promise you. Sri Prabhupada mentions in the Krishna book that Vasudeva was known for his word. That is what devotees are. Devotees, they are always thinking about others, and they never do anything that is irreligious in nature or adharma. And Kamsa knew the reputation of Vasudeva. He knew the reputation. If Vasudeva said that, then he will definitely do that. So he let go, and then things became slightly normal, and then the procession continued, and Vasudeva and Devaki eventually reached their home, and the wedding was over, and without any major incident, they were in their own homes. Now, after a few months, perhaps after 9 months or so, Devaki became pregnant with the first child. And as a matter of fact, if I recollect, Vasudeva not only said, I will bring the 8th child, but I will bring all my children to you. Now I recollect properly. I will bring all that are born of me, I will bring them to you, I promise, O Kansa. So he had promised that. So when the first child was born, he immediately went to the palace of Kansa in Mathura, and he offered his little baby in the hands of Kansa. He says, my dear brother-in-law, as promised, this is our first child. Just appeared last night to Devaki, and I'm here to give it to you, as promised. And Kansa, looking at the little baby, he became soft-hearted. The baby was cooing in the arms of Vasudeva, and Vasudeva was looking at Kansa, hoping that Kansa would forgive that little baby. That kind of radiated. And then very softly, Kansa said, my dear Vasudeva, it is true that you promised to bring all your children, but I don't want this child. Take him back. I'm concerned with the 8th one. So immediately, Vasudeva took the opportunity. He turned around and he left immediately before a demoniac person like Kansa would change his mind. And then he went back home. Devaki was so pleased to see her little baby back in her arms. She started kissing him and cuddling him. And then they were both, showering so much love on the first baby. But lo and behold, what happens after Vasudeva left the palace of Kamsa in Mathura? Brahma Rishi Naradji, he appeared. Naradji appeared there, and immediately Kamsa offered him a wonderful seat. Please sit on my throne, O Naradji. And he offered his obeisances. That is the beauty of Naradji. Naradji and the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan are compared like Dhira Dhira Janapriya Karo, Nirmat Saro Pujito, Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujugo, Sri Jiva Gopalako. These pure devotees are such that they are welcomed by dhiras. Dhira means sober persons. And they are also welcomed by adhiras. They are even welcomed by, adhiras means rascals or demoniac persons, like Kansa. They are even welcomed by that. Because within their heart, only one thing radiates, is the well-being of all. Even if it is a demon, Personalities like Naradji, they're always wishing well for them, for their ultimate good. And that is radiated through the Paramatma who is in the heart of Naradji and in the heart of Kansa in this case. So he offers him a nice seat. And then he says, as you know, I know everything. Vasudeva was just here, right? He said, yes. Vasudeva was just here and he brought his firstborn and I let him go. He had promised that he will bring every child. And of course, what is hidden from you, Naradji? You know that the eighth child, the predicament was there that would be killing me. So I didn't bother with this child. I just let him go. I didn't feel like, after all, even I'm an uncle, I'm a mama. So Naradji smiled. He smiled and he said, oh, Kans, you are so naive. He spoke to him so diplomatically, so convincingly. You are so naive. You are so innocent. That predicament, I also know about it. I was present in that wedding. I was in the sky along with the celestial other demigods. I was showering the flowers on Vasudeva and Devaki when the chariot was being driven in the streets of Mathura. And I heard that predicament. I heard that sound that came from the sky through the sound of the thundering bolt. I heard that. But do you really trust that sound? That sound is perhaps the sound of your enemies. It's the demigods. It's the Devi Devatas. Never trust them. They said the eighth child, but what is the guarantee? It could be the first, it could be the third, it could be the fifth. And in one of the versions that I had heard about in this Katha is Narad Muni actually took one round object like a saucer or a plate and he drew eight points on it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. After drawing the 8 points on it, he then simply took that saucer and he turned it. Revolution. And it started spinning just like how a top spins when the kids are playing with the top, right? And it started spinning. And then when it came to a stop, Naradji said, oh, Kansa, can you tell me which one was number 1 and which one was number 8 amongst these 8 different points that I've drawn here? And Kans became perplexed. He became perplexed. He became sad. Anger started showing up on him. And he says, Naradji, you are right. The demigods, the Devi Devatas, they are my enemies. I'm so fortunate that you are here to guide me. Tell me, Naradji, what should I do? I'm not going to spare this Vasudeva Devaki. I'm going to imprison them immediately. He sends his soldiers, and lo and behold, they are shackled. Along with the first baby, they are brought into the deepest dungeons of Mathura. And there, mercilessly, in front of Vasudeva and Devaki, the first little born was smashed on the wall. Devaki and Vasudeva could not even shriek. Their hearts were outpouring, crying, but no sound would come out. It was such a devastating feeling. The child being smashed by her own uncle on the walls of the jail with such nirdaya, with not even a single iota of mercy. And Kans said, keep a watch on them. And he had engaged a lot of different soldiers to keep watch day and night on that dungeon. Naradji had done what he had to say. But somebody may wonder, why did Naradji do this? Why did Naradji have to do this? Year after year, another child was born. Like that, 6 children of Devaki were born, and mercilessly they were smashed. They were smashed on the walls, on the rough walls of the dungeon in Mathura. And many of them pondered. These questions were asked to many big sages, to many devotees. Why would Naradji do that? He became instrumental in causing Kansa to kill 6 of Devki and Vasudev's children. So the answer is that Naradji knew that Krishna wanted to come very quickly. He wanted to expedite the appearance of Sri Krishna. And prior to that, Naradji knew these 6 babies that were there in the past lives. They were actually actually the what do you call? I believe they were known as the 6 of um, uh, the Saptarishis. Some I can't recollect at this very second, but I think they were the incarnations that represented the 6 anarthas, or the 6 misgivings that we all have. And Prabhupada explains that in order for the lordships to appear, the womb of Devki had to be completely cleansed. The womb had to be cleansed, and that is the reason the 7th child in that womb that appeared, where at that time especially Devki became very effulgent. And Vasudev also had a very special effulgence on his face. And Vasudev could immediately tell that the Supreme Lord is appearing. But he was a little surprised that this being the 7th child, why is Devki so effulgent? So that explained that that was Lord Balram. And Lord Balram, Prabhupada mentions in the Krishna book, is the Adi Guru. He is the first Guru. He is the one, and the job or the duty of the Guru is to remove darkness. Is to remove darkness. Guru in Sanskrit means gur means darkness, and uru means to remove. That is Guru. One of the meanings of the word Guru means one who removes darkness. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shlakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I offer my obeisances unto that personality who has opened my eyes with the knowledge of, or the torch of knowledge. He has opened my eyes. I was born in the darkest ignorance. Dark. So Guru. So that Guru. So Balram had to come and cleanse the womb of Mother Devki. As the Guru he came, so that it is most conducive for the appearance of Sri Krishna, the Supreme Lord. Until and unless our hearts are not completely cleaned, they are not thoroughly, that Cheto Darpana Marjanam doesn't happen, then we will not experience that complete bliss, that sweetness of Vraj. We will not experience because of our anarthas. And those different anarthas represented, the representations were the anarthas that are there born out of illusion, anarthas that are there due to aprad, anarthas that are there due to sense gratification, due to the bhukti, anarthas due to liberation, mukti, bhukti, mukti, or all those anarthas that are there due to committing offenses, offenses of the holy name, offenses of Krishna, offenses to Vaishnavas, offenses to jivas, living entities, offenses to the dham, etc. So these are all different kinds of anarthas. And then there is also something known as Hruday Durbalyam, the weakness of the heart, where there is duplicity. Sometimes we say something, but internally we feel something. That is called Kutanithi, duplicity. Then there is Tuchha Ashakti. We are attached to all different low things, material things. That is Tuchha. Tuchha means it's insignificant. So we are attached to insignificant things. Tuchha Asakti. And Matsarya. That is also an anartha. That we are jealous, we are envious. So this is all these qualities the Sadguru or the pure devotee or the Acharya or Nityanand Prabhu or Lord Balram removes. So therefore he appeared. And because he was forcefully attracted to Rohini Mata in Gokul, he was known as Sankarshan. The womb from Devki to Rohini was transferred And then it was reported that the seventh child Devaki had, she had a miscarriage, but already the seventh child was born. So last Sunday was Balram Jayanti, and all glories to Lord Balram, the Adi Guru, who is in every aspect in all the five rasas. He is so much helping every person to serve Krishna. In the Shantras, he he uh, he renders services like the kartal, the mridanga, the paraphernalia that we use for the puja, the thali, the ghee lamp, or the bell. All these different things are avatars of Lord Balram. Shantras, there he is helping us serve. Then he's got the dasyaras, where he himself, as a das, as a servant, serves Sri Krishna. He serves Krishna when Krishna is tired. Sometimes Krishna, he takes his legs in his thighs and he starts massaging Krishna's legs. And like that, he takes care of Krishna and like a servant, all looking to the knees, dasyaras. And then Lord Balram in the Sakyaras, he's like a friend to Sri Krishna. He's such a wonderful friend. He's always looking after, like a good friend looks after Krishna, always. He's always with him. And then Vatsalya Ras, he's always in that Ras also. He's serving Krishna by like being an elderly brother, being like a father or a mother. When Krishna Balram used to go out cow herding, Mother Yashoda and Rohini used to tell Balram, you are like the father and mother now. Please take care of this Krishna. He's very chanchal. He's very mischievous. He may sometimes enter into the deepest forest. Keep an eye on him. We are always concerned. But because you are there, our anxiety will be gone. So because that Vatsalya Ras is there in Lord Balram. And then of course, in these fifth rasa, which is the most sweetest and the highest considered a specialty, which is known as the Madhurya Rasa, Lord Balram serves as Radharani's younger sister, known as Ananga Manjari. So she is present in the pastimes of Radha Krishna in Golok Vrindavan and even in Braj Mandal as the younger sister of Radharani, known as Ananga Manjari, the daughter of King Bhanu. So King Vrishabhanu had a younger brother known as Bhanu. So she is actually the cousin. And the King Bhanu's daughter is Ananga Manjari. So she is serving even in the fifth ras known as the Ananga Manjari. Fifth ras known as the Madhurya Rasa. So like this, Balram appears in Gokul. And then finally, after the next year, Devaki again become extremely effulgent and even more effulgent. And Vasudev knew now that it is time for the Supreme Personality of Godhead to appear. So on the most auspicious night of Janmashtami, or the Ashtami Tithi, where the constellations known as the Rohini Nakshatra were all aligned so perfectly that the most auspicious moment had arrived. After 4.32 billion years, none like this had ever happened except in the last 4.32 billion years. That moment, that constellation of the Rohini Nakshatra had been perfectly aligned. And in the jail of Kansa, suddenly something happens in the entire Mathura city. Yogamaya, she actually covers the entire Mathura city, or actually Vraj Mandal, I would say so. And in particular, to start with Mathura, where she puts everybody to sleep. There are two types of Maya. One is known as Mahamaya and one is known as Yogamaya. Mahamaya is the Maya that we find in this material world, that is actually none other than an incarnation of Durga Devi. She is known as Mahamaya. Srishti, Striti, Pralaya, Sadhana, Shakti, Reka, Chayavya Yasya Bhavanani, Bivarti Durga, Icha Anurupamapi Chacheshtatesa, Govindamadi Purusham, Tamaham Bhajami. It is this Mahamaya or Durga Devi who follows the instructions of Krishna in this material world, in this fort, Durga. The material world is known as Durga, and the superintendent of this fort is known as Durga. So this Durga Devi who is in charge of the three modes of material nature, Tamogun, Rajagun, and Satogun, mode of ignorance, mode of passion, and mode of goodness. She is the Adhisthati Devi. She is following the instructions, keeping all those persons or all those entities who have turned their face away from Krishna uh, again and again to be suffering in this material world known as sansar. Sansar means the repeated cycle of birth and death. And she continuously keeps all those entities in this material world E rupe brahmand brahmite, simply oscillating sometimes in the material world, the higher planetary systems of the heavenly planets, the middle planetary system, earthly planet, and the lower planetary systems known as the hellish planets. Simply the jiva or the living entity is oscillating. The soul is oscillating sometimes in heaven due to the piety, sometimes due to impious activities into the hellish planets, and then they come back on the earth planet and they are simply oscillating in this material. She will not let us escape. But Guru Prasade Paye Bhakti Lata Bij. But by the mercy of Guru, by the mercy of the pure devotee, and by the mercy of Krishna, because by the mercy of Krishna, Guru appears, the pure devotee or the pure Acharya appears in our life, either in the form of instructions, Vani, or in the form of Vapu, either in the physical form or in the form of instructions, or in the form of both. But nonetheless, they are both potent, Vani and Vapu. And Vani is considered eternal in all respects, or the instructions of the pure Acharya. So, Yoga Maya is that Maya that actually controls or puts an illusion on all the persons that are involved in the pastimes of Krishna or Krishna's incarnations. To enhance those pastimes, she puts up a very illusory act, just like a magic wand that a very, very good magician has. When he puts that magic wand, when he actually makes it go round on somebody, then that person can forget. Or when they're doing those perfect, what do you call, the hypnotist, when they are doing something like making some gestures, and then the person falls asleep and he forgets that he's that person, and he starts speaking about different places, different worlds, different time, and many different things that may have happened. They transport them into different worlds. So Yoga Maya is generally found in the spiritual world. She is actually predominantly there in Golok Vrindavan. She's also there in Vaikuntha, but not much of a job to do for her there. But in Golok Vrindavan on Raj Bhumi, she's extremely busy, because not a moment she gets where there is spare time. There's always so many different leelas non-stop that Krishna needs to perform, that she needs to make him forget that he is God, and she needs to make the others forget that he is God. And along with that, there are so many other things that she needs to make Krishna forget and Krishna's devotees forget. And that is known as Yoga Maya. Yoga means to connect. And that is that Maya that connects to Sri Krishna. That is that Maya that connects to Sri Krishna's Seva. Anukulena Krishna Anushilanam Tad Bhaktir Uttam. That Maya, that Maya, or that illusory energy of the Lord, that will connect you to Krishna. But Mahamaya is that illusory of the Lord that will keep us away from Krishna. So all of us are under the influence of Mahamaya. But the day when our sadhana, our practices will become perfect, and when we enter into Raganuga Bhakti, when we follow in the footsteps of the pure devotees, when we follow in the footsteps of Vrajvasis, at that time, the true Vrajvasis, at that time, Mahamaya's illusion will stop, and Yogamaya's illusion will start playing a major influence in our existence. Right now, we have to be told that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But there will come a time when our practicing, and by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and our Gaudiya Acharyas, will come if we practice very nicely Guru Sadhu and Shastra's orders, and we perform our sadhana so perfectly, and when those new doors of Raganuga Bhakti will open, at that time, Yoga Maya will enter, and she will make us forget that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yes, I repeat this. Right now, Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas have to constantly, please try to understand Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So right now, when we are worshipping Krishna, we have this awe and reverence. When we are offering obeisances, we are very careful about touching Krishna's paraphernalia with our feet. We are very careful with so much awe and reverence. We go even after our arti, we catch our ears, some of us. Please forgive me, Krishna, if I've committed any offenses in your seva. Please forgive me. There is also a nice verse, aprada vihina, aprada lakshay, something to that extent. I've committed so many offenses. Please forgive me. In your service, I've committed, if there have been any offenses committed. So we are very, very, like in our Guru Puja, like we sing every day, Shri Guru Charana Pada, Shri Guru Charana Padma, Kevala Bhakti Sadma, Bando Mui, Saudhan, Saudhan Mate, Saudhan. Narottam Das Thakur says, Saudhan, with great care. Make sure that whatever we do in our spiritual practices, we have to be Saudhan. But once we enter into that stage where there is so much prema, so much love, it is so spontaneous that a mother has not to be told that the child is hungry, please breastfeed her, or please serve, make the child eat some nice rice and dal or chapati. Or when the husband is so tired and when he comes home, she is not to be told that he needs a nice cooling glass of water or he needs a nice meal. It is automatically there, spontaneous. It is not that she's doing it out of her duty. She's doing it out of love, spontaneous love. Come, my dear baby, come sit. Oh, you played so much. Come, you must be hungry. Oh, and she will feed him and feed him and feed him until, she's fully satisfied that the baby is completely now happy. Similarly, that stage of bhakti known as the raga atmika bhakti will come. And at that time, we will not be under the control of Mahamaya. Yoga Maya will control us, and Yoga Maya will make us forget that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yoga Maya will take us to the land of sweetness, Vrindavan Dham. Yoga Maya will take us into the land of sweetness. There will be so many sweet pastimes where we need to forget who we are. We need to forget that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Because if we remember that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, if Mother Yashoda remembered that the Krishna is the Supreme Lord, when she was looking at, when Krishna had his mouth agape, you have eaten mud, open your mouth, Kana, open your mouth. Open your mouth. Everybody is complaining. Even Balram is saying that you have eaten mud. And finally, Mother Yashoda opens the mouth. And there she sees millions and millions of creations, planets, universal systems, stars, sun, moon, sky. She not only sees millions, she sees that one particular Brahman, that particular earth where she is. She sees the Bhumi of Vrindavan. She sees the place of Gokul. She sees Brahmand Ghat. She sees that tree underneath which Krishna has her own mouth open. Hari Bol. That is what she sees. And then she is perplexed. And Krishna immediately is upset. Looking at Yogamaya, what are you doing? You're trying to spoil my intimate relationship here with my mother. You're trying to remind her that she is my, that I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is that what you're trying to do? And immediately Yogamaya, sorry. I made this big mistake. And she immediately removes that Yogamaya. And Mother Yashoda immediately sees the mitti, the clay that he had eaten, and all his mouth was reddish and blackish due to the earth of Gokul at Brahman Ghat. And she started chastising him. This is not good for you. Look what you have done. You will get sick. That Vatsalya Ras, that real prem. So Mother Yashoda, all the Vrajvasis, they forget that Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, these sweet pastimes are not possible. So this Yoga Maya put everything to sleep in Mathura. She put everything to sleep. The guards that were outside the prison house, that particular cell, they went to sleep. The guards that were there in the outer perimeter, they went to sleep. The entire Mahal, the Kansa Mahal, and Kans went into a deep sleep. His wives went into a deep sleep. His servants went into a deep sleep. The entire Mathura city went into a deep sleep. And as soon as everybody was under the control of Yoga Maya, right away on the stroke of midnight, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Narayana, appeared in the jail cell where Vasudeva and Devaki was shackled to the walls. And immediately they were so much in bliss. Seeing Narayan, Devaki and Vasudeva started offering wonderful prayers because they knew that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They had that knowledge, they had that gyan. And after offering those wonderful prayers, Devaki suddenly feeling that motherly love said, please, my dear Narayan, please become little. The moment the guards see you, you're so effulgent, you're so huge. Kans will come with his army, he will come with the soldiers and he will attack you. My dear son, please become like a normal baby so I can hide you. Please, and please don't cry, baby. Please don't cry, please. This was the plea of Mother Devaki. Narayan, being so pleased, the Chaturbhuja, the four-armed form of Narayan, he started eulogizing his parents, saying that in your last births, you are the king and queen, Sutapa and Brishni Garbha. And you had performed such great austerities that I appeared as the four-armed Lord Narayan in front of you. And you offered me obeisances and offered me wonderful prayers. And I was so pleased with you, I asked you for a benediction. So Prishni, Garbha, and Sutapa, they said, oh my dear Lord, we don't really need anything. But no, I'm so pleased. Please tell me, what would you like? So he said, okay, if you do want to, please give us a son like you. We do not have any kids. So Lord Narayana said, yes, indeed, I will fulfill your desire. I will be born as your son. I'm so pleased with your bhakti because there is nobody else equal to me. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Mattaparan na anya kinchit aschit dhananjaya. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, there is nobody equal to me, O winner of wealth, O Arjun. There is nobody equal to me. So I have to be born as your son. Even in Lord Brahma says in the verse, Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Ananta Rupam. Advait means what? Dvait means second or a second personality. Advait means no second personality. There's nobody equal to Krishna. That is why he's also known as Advait. But there are other meanings of Advait that the Mayavadis, they so that is why we have to hear Katha in the line of the disciplic succession. So he said, I will become a son, and I'm so pleased that not only for this one birth, but I will become son for 3 more births for you. And what were those 3? So in the next yuga, when you will appear, I will appear as in one of the births as your parents. I will appear as Kashyap Muni and Aditi. And one of the other births, I will appear in Treta, or I'm sorry, in Satya Yuga. I will appear in different forms, and I will take different parents, which will be your Swarupa. And then in Dwapar, I will appear you both will appear as Vasudev and Devaki, and I will appear as your son, Vasudev, Krishna. And he reminds them about their past, Narayan, and he also reminds the past of Kansa. Kansa was one of the demons known as Kalnemi. Kalnemi was a horrible Rakshasa, and he came in the line of Prahlad Maharaj, actually. It is said that he was one of the demons that were in the line of Prahlad Maharaj. So that is why he was the enemy of Vishnu from the beginning. And he had actually taken to that taken to that bhav of vengeance, and therefore he became, he appeared in this particular millennium as his uncle Kansa, but as his other enemies Shishupal and Dantavakra, they had appeared as enemies. And in Satya Yuga it was Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu that had appeared. And in Treta, the two enemies that had appeared were Ravan's brothers, Ravan himself and his brother, what's his name, Kumbhakarna. So in Satya Yuga, Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu; in Treta, Ravan and Kumbhakarna; and in Dwapar, Shishupal and Dantavakra. And of course, Kalnemi appeared as Kansa in the in this particular millennium of Dwapar Yuga. So then, at the request of Mother Devaki, he becomes very small and he becomes Dvibhuja. He becomes two-armed, and he comes in the arms of Mother Yashoda, and she starts breastfeeding Krishna, the Vasudev Krishna. Now, at that time, when all this is happening, immediately at the stroke of midnight, all the different gates of the cell, the jail cells, they start opening automatically. And in the corner, there was a little soup. Soup is not S-O-U-P, but in Hindi, I'm saying the word soup. It is like a straw or a husker that the women use to separate the husk from the grain. And they just throw it in the air, a soup. And that husker that was there, what was available, Vasudev was thinking, the gates have opened. This is very miraculous. I must immediately protect our child Devaki. Give him to me and I will take him away. Looks like I'm from as far as I can see, all the gates are open. And as he kept on coming out, different gates kept on opening, and he was out into Mathura, the main street, and he saw everybody was in a sleep. In a excuse me, in yoga nidra, in a slumber. Why we call this yoga nidra? Because he's assisting. Everybody was assisting in the yoga means to assist or to connect. So everybody was trying to assist or connect this pastime of the birth of Krishna, Krishna Janam. So they all went to sleep. And as soon as he was about to step out, he saw there was torrential rain, and there was thunderbolt and lightning, and he was thinking how my little baby just born, how he can protect him. And he had his soup on his head, the husking thing on his head. And when he was out into the rain, he said, somehow the direction is coming for me to go to Gokul in my heart, because Krishna is within the heart also. And he gave him direction to go towards the Jamuna. And as soon as he came out of the mahal, of Kansa's mahal, and he was exposed to the Seshnag, Ananta Sesh, Krishna's younger brother, as Baldav, he came as the serpent, and he covered father and younger brother. He covered them like an umbrella. And Vasudevji started going into that stormy night with torrential rain, the month of Shravan, Ashtami, and the beautiful Rohini Nakshatra, all so auspicious, but it was raining. And as he approached Jamunaji, Jamunaji was tossing, full of waves, unprecedented waves like never before. And Vasudevji was thinking, how will I enter into these deep waters? Certainly, if I swim, but my little son Krishna, Vasudev, will drown. He will drown. But at that time, Yamuna Devi, who was so excited to see her consort, Yamuna Devi is one of the consort of Sri Krishna, like Radhaji is a consort of Sri Krishna. Like Mahalakshmi is a consort of Lord Narayana. So yeah, she is also one of the consorts, and she was so excited to see there was a little toe of Krishna sticking out of that soup, sticking out of that little basket. And when Vasudevji tried to enter the waters suddenly snapped up and went up to the nose and to the head of Vasudev. And Vasudev was feeling as if he was just going to drown. But then he was thinking, what is going to happen? And then in a very prayerful mood, Yamuna Devi suddenly, she calmed down. She was excited because she wanted to touch the lotus toe of our Acharyas, Vishwanath Chakravarti Pad and other Vaishnava Acharyas say that she was so excited that she wanted to touch the little toe of Sri Krishna. She wanted to touch the little toe, and that way she would feel very, 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 very much in bliss. But then she realized that her father-in-law was uncomfortable and that he would drown if she would not control her excitement. So she made it very nice, and not only that, she opened up a path for Vasudev, Krishna, Vasudev and Sheshnag, all three of them, they glided past into the Yamunaji and they arrived in Gokul. They arrived at the Thakurani Ghat in Gokul. And when they arrived at the Thakurani Ghat, at the Yashoda Ghat, everybody was sleeping. It was silent. Not even the crickets were buzzing. Not even the jugnu or the fireflies were buzzing. Nothing. All had gone to sleep in a deep, deep slumber. Vasudevji sees Nanda Bhavan. It's very effulgent. And he goes towards Nanda Bhavan, not too far from Thakurani Ghat. And when he arrives there, the doors of Nanda Bhavan are open. And there is one particular room that is full of effulgence. It is full of effulgence. And at that time, he's attracted to that room. Vasudevji goes very close. And as he enters that room, he finds that the room is very dark. But in one corner, on the bed, he could see a very beautiful baby girl, golden complexioned, with a lot of effulgence. And Mother Yashoda was in a deep slumber. Vasudevji tiptoed to the bed of Mother Yashoda. And there he slowly put down Vasudev Krishna. And he picked up the little baby girl. She is Yogamaya. And she is the Yogamaya personified that Yashoda Mai gave birth to. She is the one who assists Krishna and Krishna's devotees in his pastimes, in all kinds of pastimes, and especially his most sweet and intimate pastimes. It is by the mercy of Purnamasi. It is by the mercy of Yogamaya. It is by the mercy of Vrindadevi that all these wonderful pastimes are happening in Vraj Mandal. And now she is personified right in front of his eyes. Very cute baby. He immediately softly puts Krishna, his heart, with great joy, he picks up the little baby girl and puts it to his chest, kisses her, and then slowly leaves Yashoda Ma's room, and he goes back to Mathura. Now, what happens? As soon as Vasudevji leaves Nanda Bhavan And at that time, Vasudev Krishna, who was sleeping on the left of Mother Yashoda, suddenly on the right, there was a very effulgent, dark bluish Sham Varna personality who had already taken birth along with the baby girl, Nandanandan, Yashoda Nandan Krishna. And Vasudev Krishna on the left merges on the right side, sleeping Nandanandan Krishna. Yes, my dear devotees, this is a very deep secret. Not many people know. Most of us that we have learned even in history or in our religious discussions, we all heard that Vasudev Krishna, known as Vasudev, born to Vasudev in the jail of Kansa, then he was exchanged in Gokul and the baby girl was brought back to Mathura. But no, according to the Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas, the most exalted, those Acharyas who are none other than the the associates of Srimati Radharani, the associates of Shyam Sundar Krishna, they have mentioned that Krishna in Vrindavan, in Gokul, when he expands into his plenary forms and other manifestations, there's for a specific purpose. So even Vasudev Krishna, he appeared for a specific purpose in the jail of Kansa. And when Lord, apparently when he ventures outside of Vrindavan, he actually remains in Vrindavan, Nandanandan, but in an unmanifested stage or in the bhav stage. And Rup Goswami, one of the most intimate Kimkaris of Srimati Radharani and Lalita Sakhi, she has in her Lagu Bhagavad Amrit, she has mentioned that to give pleasure to his loving associates and even to relish his own wonderful pastimes, Sri Krishna manifested Vrajdham. So one of the reasons why Vraj Bhumi was manifested was for his loving associates. Very important, especially Srimati Radharani. Radharani said that if you want going to perform your earthly pastimes in Vrajdham, then there are three conditions. What are they? You must have Vraj Bhumi, Golok Vrindavan must come down. You must have Yamunaji, Yamunaji must come down, and you must have Govardhan. These three. And Krishna says, certainly, my dear, that will happen. And that is what Rup Goswami mentions. Sri Krishna and Yogmaya were the twin children of Yashoda in Vraj Bhumi. Yes, Yashoda Mai gave birth to twins. And when Maharaj Vasudev arrived there, he entered Yashoda's maternity room, seeing only Yashoda's daughter because Yogamaya had covered Nandanandan. He did not want Vasudev Krishna to see Nandanandan Krishna. When Maharaj Vasudev arrived there, and when he saw Yashoda's daughter, he picked her up. And then King Vasudev had brought with him from Mathura, what he had brought was Vasudev Krishna. What is it known as the Vaibhav Prakash. And he entered the body of the original Sri Krishna, Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami, who had just taken birth as the son of Yashoda. In this way, the two forms of Vasudev Krishna and Nandanandan Krishna, they became one. Because this pastime is very confidential, it is not even conveyed directly in the great books and the Granthraj Srimad Bhagavatam. But nevertheless, Sukadeva Goswami has given some hint in that. He has indirectly described in his writings that Krishna is the son of Nanda Maharaj. There are even hints that are given by Rup Goswami's elder brother Sanatan Goswami in the Brihad Bhagavad Amrit, who is none other than Lavanga Manjari, one of the most intimate associates of eternal associates of Srimati Radharani. And when they give us information, then it is pakka, 100%. Sometimes in the Brihad Bhagavad Amrita, it is said that the gopis, they denied that Vasudev Krishna, that Vasudev and Devaki are the actual parents of Krishna. The gopi says, no, 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 no. We cannot take it. We don't want to hear that. And even Akrurji, Akrur, the charioteer that Kansa had sent to Vrindavan when Krishna Balram were 12 and 13 years approximately for the wrestling match, Kans sent Akrur. So even Akrur knows that. Sanatana Goswami says that even Akrur says outright that Krishna is simply not Vasudev's son. So Sanatana Goswami in his own commentary says this. And once Rupa Goswami, he has fully articulated that. So there is no question of doubt. And this complete story can be found in the Gaudiya Vaishnava literatures, such as we can find it in the 3rd chapter of Jiva Goswami's Gopal Champu. So I'm giving references to devotees sometimes because in the past I have been questioned when I give this katha. Many so-called scholars in ISKCON, they challenged me, in Chicago one time, that we have never heard that there are 2 Krishnas and Mother Yashoda gave birth. I said, yes, Mata, I will give you the evidence. It is there in the scriptures. You go take prasad, and when you come down, I will send you all the evidence. So we are fortunate that we gave the evidence, and she was shocked. She was supposed to be one of the biggest preachers, somebody who was well respected. And then, she felt some humbleness there. We are always there to learn something. When we hear something from very exalted sources, then there is no question, na buddhaya na tikaya. We should not use our mundane intelligence, and we should not try to commit any kind of debates, mundane arguments. Because Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami has mentioned this. Gopal Champu, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has mentioned this in his commentary of the Sartha Darshini. That's another evidence where he has said about in the Sri Krishna Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami is also, that Krishna became the son of Nanda and Yashoda. He was not the son of anyone else. Nanda and Yashoda, and not Vasudeva and Devaki. And the real parents of Sri Krishna. And this is also confirmed by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. So people don't read Prabhupada's purports properly. That's the same thing I told that Mataji. Mataji, you are a preacher. You should be reading Prabhupada's books nicely. Prabhupada's purports, in between the lines, in the lines, so many things, so many secrets are revealed. But we only want to do it like an academic. We want to finish the chapters quickly. Oh, I finished Bhagavad Gita. Oh, I finished Bhagavatam. Oh, I finished this. I finished that book. Finish means we are finished. We are not going to really get the sar of bhakti. If we're going to approach Bhagavad Ji, approach the pure devotees' words and their commentaries like some academic schooling, no, then Krishna will say, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam sa tathaiva bhajami. The way you approach me, I will approach you. Then I will give you a scholastic mentality. Then you become a jnani. But you will never become a bhakta like my Vrajvasis. This is what Satyavrat Muni is also told in this. We sing the Damodar Ashtakam every Kartik. What is that? Varam deva moksham na moksham avdimma na cha vrinayaham vara ishada piha. Now, prior to that verse, wherein Satyavrat Muni is the Swagosha Nimanjan Akhyapayantam. Idriksa Leelabhir Ananda Kunde Swagosha Nimanjantam Akhyapayantam. Idriksa Akhyapayantam. So although those who have knowledge about my opulence, try to learn from my Vrajvasis. He's telling Satyavrat Muni. Like the way I'm drowning them in my sweet pastime. Idriksa Leelabhir Ananda Kunde. I'm drowning them in an ocean or in a kunda or a lake of bliss. Idriksa Leelabhir Ananda Kunde Swagosha Nimanjantam Akhyapayantam. I'm immersing my own home Vrajmandal, Vrindavan, into this loving pastimes. Tadi Eshit Agneshur, Bhaktair Jitatvam. Those who have knowledge about my Ishatva, that I am God, then please learn from these Vrajvasis. That they don't even care if I am the Supreme Lord or not, they just love me. So this has been explained by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur about this particular incident, about the exchange of Vasudeva Krishna, the birth of Nandanandan Krishna. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has explained this in the Harivamsha. And even our great personality, Nitya Lila Pravishta, Gaur Govind Maharaj Ji, has also explained this. When he was speaking Harikatha, speaking very rasik Harikatha. One of Prabhupada's Nitya Lila Pravishta, he's already left for join Krishna in his eternal pastimes, Radha and Krishna in Golok Vrindavan. So exactly at the same time when Yashoda Mata gave birth to Krishna in Vrindavan, Devaki also gave birth to a child in a prison house. And that is described in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. On one hand, the son of Nanda and Yashoda is Swayam Bhagwan, the original supreme personality of Godhead, Govindam Adi Purusham. And on the other hand, manifesting from the womb of Devaki came the four-handed form Vasudev, which is the Prabhav Prakash, which I had mentioned. Wherever the word Prabhav comes, that means the four-handed personality, expansion of Krishna. So like this, we have to understand, this is something that we should all take home from within our hearts. Never ever tell a Vrajvasi that Lala is Vasudeva and Devaki's son. They will be hurt. They will never accept it. And it is true, because that is the way it is. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the indication is given in the 10th canto, particularly in chapter number 5, in verses 1 and 2, wherein they are describing about the Nanda Utsav. And there it is said that in that verse, Nandastva Atmaja Utpanne Jathalado Mahamanaha Ahuya Vipran Veda Jnana Snataha Suchira Alankrutaha Vachitya Swasta Yavanam Jata Karmata Jasya Vai Karayam Asha Vidivata Pitri Devarchanam Tatha. Meaning, and especially these two words are very significant. Sukadeva Goswami Pad has given this indication that Nanda Tu Atmaja. If we translate these three words, Nanda means Nanda Maharaj. Tu means indeed. The word Sanskrit word tu means indeed. Atmaja means his son. So indeed, Krishna is the son of Nanda Maharaj. Here is an indication in the 10th canto, 5th chapter, during the description, where Sukadeva Goswami says, Nanda Maharaj was naturally very magnanimous to all the Brahmins. Next day in the morning, when they woke up, they found that the Lala had been born, a boy, baby boy had been born, and Lord Krishna appeared as his son. Nanda Grihe Ananda Bhayo, Jai Kanaiya Lal Ki, Hati Goda Palaki, Jai Kanaiya Lal Ki. Every midnight, during the midnight darshan, all the Vrajvasis, they sing this with such a gusto and so enthusiasm. Nanda Grihe Ananda Bhayo, Jai Kanaiya Lal Ki, Hati Goda Palaki, Jai Kanaiya Lal Ki. We don't understand. Sometimes some ISKCON centers allow it, some do not. And the reason is because due to the lack of the understanding by certain leaders in the ISKCON movement. They said that Prabhupada never sang that, so we should not sing it. We should just sing Hare Krishna Mahamantra. But they are forgetting. Prabhupada sang 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, and he translated each and every word from Sanskrit to English. Prabhupada said that if he had more time, he was going to give us more books of the Goswamis. So that would also include the bhav of the Vraj. We are insulting the bhav of the Vraj when we say we should not be singing that, without understanding the meaning. And some of these leaders are so caught up, they are so stereotyped, that they think that Krishna belongs to only ISKCON. They think it doesn't belong to any other entity. Krishna is belonging to everyone. He is Surut Sarva Bhutana. It doesn't say in the Bhagavad Gita Surut ISKCON Bhutanam. Surut ISKCON Bhutanam. No. These misinterpretations should be removed. All these different kinds of sentiments, we are committing huge offenses toward the Vrajvasis. What does it mean when they are singing? Nanda Grihe Ananda Bhayo. Try to concentrate. Most of you all know Hindi, so you understand. It is simply as saying that it was great joy in the house of Nanda Maharaj. What is wrong in saying that? It is not apasiddhanta. It is not against scripture. As a matter of fact, scripture itself says that Nanda Grihe Ananda Bhayo. There are two meanings to this particular sentence. Nanda Grihe. Nanda Grihe means the house of Nanda Maharaj. Ananda Bhayo. Ananda means bliss appeared or bliss happened. Everybody was so much in joy and bliss in the house of Nanda Maharaj. That is the first line of this kirtan. But also the other meaning of this kirtan is Nanda Grihe Ananda Bhayo. In the house of Nanda Maharaj, bliss personified, Ananda personified appeared, meaning Sri Krishna, who is none other than joy personified, Ananda personified. How lucky, how fortunate the gopis, the Bhagavatam, and so many places in the scriptures it is said, how fortunate is Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda Mai, the Vrajvasis, that Krishna, joy personified, appeared in their house. The gopis start their singing with Jayati Tedhikam Janmana Vraja Shrayata Indira Shaswadatrahi. The gopis are saying Jayati, the first verse of the Gopi Geet, 10th canto, chapter number 29, first verse. Gopya Uchuhu. The gopis said, Jayati te adhikam janmana vraja. Glory is even glorious because glory personified has taken birth in Vraj. Krishna, who is joy personified, Ananda Bhayo, has appeared in the land of Vraj. Nanda Grihe, in the house of Nanda Maharaj. Nanda Grihe Ananda Bhayo. Jai Kanaiya Lal ki. Hathi Ghoda Pal ki. Jai Kanaiya Lal ki. So Nanda Maharaj was giving out elephants, horses, palki to the old people. He was giving palanquins to the Brahmins. After bathing and purifying Krishna and dressing himself properly, he invited Brahmins who knew how to recite the Vedic mantras, the Swasti Vachan. And after having these qualified Brahmins recite auspicious Vedic hymns, he arranged to have the Vedic birth ceremony known as the Nanda Utsav celebrated for his newborn child according to the rules and regulations. And he arranged for worship of all the Pitrus and all the Devi Devtas, everybody, due to the Nanda Grihe Ananda Bhayo. That is the bhav of the Vrajvasis, my dear devotees. It is Janmashtami. I'm going to present two short pads, one of Paramanandji, which I sang earlier, and one of Surdasji, which I will present now, that is befitting this perfect occasion of known as the Janmashtami Badhai. Badhai means it is such a auspicious occasion. Badhai, congratulations. The Vrajvasis are congratulating each other. Nanda Maharaj is congratulating all are congratulating Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda Mai. That is called Nanda Badhai. In Pushtimarg, there is a huge following, and during in the Janmashtami Badhai, there are so many kirtans and pads that have been compiled and composed by these wonderful, great Vaishnava Acharyas, in all respects, the associates of Radha Shyamsundar, the Sakhis and the Sakhas. They have actually, in the form of Ashtachap Sakhas, as the disciples of Sri Vallabhacharya, they have composed so many wonderful pads that they're amazing. One of the pads that I sang earlier today was what is known as Dharma hi te payo yah dhan, nike sakhi yashoda maiya narayana vraja ayo. Dharma hi te payo. So dharma hi te payo, due to the external reason, which is religiosity. Dharma hi te payo yah dhan. Due to the adharma that had happened, Krishna appeared, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata, etc., etc. Whenever there is a rise of religiosity, I will appear. So dharma hi te payo, due to religiosity, the entire world obtained what? Yahadhan. Paramanandas ji calls Krishna Yahadhan. Please try to get the essence of the words. They are so amazing. So Krishna is known as Dhan. So dharma hi te payo Yahadhan, nike rakhi yashoda maiya. Where this great wealth, who is keeping? Very close, Yashoda Maiya. Nike rakhi Yashoda Maiya. Dharma hi te payo Yahadhan. Narayana Braja ayo. Narayana Braja ayo. So now the word Narayan is being used here by Paramanandas ji. Because originally Vasudev Krishna is Narayan. And Narayan was brought by Vasudev ji to Gokul and exchanged it with the baby girl. So Narayana himself came to Vraj. Now there is a very, very deeper meaning to this. Narayan himself was so fortunate that he was able to see the pastimes of the sweet pastimes of Krishna, because he got the opportunity to merge into him. So all the sweet pastimes that happened in Vraj, Narayan could witness them. He is already merged in him, but because, and that is one of the reason this Narayan or Vaikuntha Adipati, when he gets separated, and then when he goes to Mathura and Dwarka, and then the Rath Yatra happens, and when they want him to take him back to Vraj, that's where Lord Jagannath, who is the Vaikuntha Adipati, who is none other than the Narayan, he is so pleased with all the devotees that, yes, now you're taking me back to Vraj. I will be able to witness all those sweet pastimes that I had done when I was only 12 or 13 years. And then when Akrur came and took us back to Vrindavan. So at that time, I have to mention one very important point, that when Akrur was sent by Kansa and Krishna Balaram had grown up to be wonderful young lads, 12 or 13 years old, when Akrur takes them and when he stops on the border of Vrindavan and Mathura on the way back, Akrur bows down to Vraj Bhumi, seeing the love of the Vrajvasis and seeing the Krishna Prem, so much Prem the Vrajvasis had. And while he was doing that, Nandanandan Krishna and Vasudev Krishna separate. So there is Balram and Nandanandan Krishna on the chariot when they were in Vrindavan, but on the border, Vasudev Krishna at birth had merged into Nandanandan. He came out while Akrur was still bowing down. And Nandanandan, he went into the hiding of the hearts of every Vraj entity, just not the Vrajvasis in terms of the parents, the coward boys, but into the calves, into the cows, into every leaf, into every root, into every bird, into all the gopis, etc. So in the bhav stage, he stayed behind. And Vasudev Krishna, from there on the border, was driven along with Balram to Mathura. And then the rest is history, where they were attacked by Chanur and Mushtik, the wrestlers, by the Kuvalyadeep, that elephant. They tried to kill, Kansa tried to make many different kinds of schemes to kill them, but they were not able to kill him. And finally, Krishna, Vasudev Krishna, he jumped into the podium where Kansa was seated on a high seat, kicked him and took the prana out of him by fisting him. and releasing eventually his parents and grandfather Krishna Balram, released them. So the point is that it is Vasudev Krishna who killed Kans and not Nandanandan Krishna. So these are some of the secrets that perhaps some of you all can take home tonight when we are hearing this Hari Katha. So in this Narayana Vrajayo, that Narayana Vrajayo, this Narayan who was eager to come to Vraj so that he could witness this sweet pastimes, and he was so fortunate that he was able to merge into Nandanandan. Jadhan ko muni japa tapa khojata. And that dhan, that personality, everybody's trying to find where is God, where is God, where is God. Doesn't matter which faith one is following. Bhagwan kahan hai? Where is God? So Jadhana, that treasure, that the munis, the great saints, with their japa and tapa, with so much meditation and so much chanting, they are trying to find that Nandan. Even they cannot find. There's a nice verse in the Brahma Samhita parallel to what Paramanandas ji has said, that he has said that Panthastu Koti Satvatsara Sampragamyo Vayo Rathapi Manaso Munipungamanam So Api Asti Yat Prapadasimni Achintya Guna Tatve Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. That there are many yogis are sitting by drilling the respiration, doing the pranayam, sitting for thousands of years in yoga. And simply what they are getting eventually is simply they're getting the light or the prakash that emanates from the toe of the nail of Sri Krishna Nandanandan. They are not even getting the darshan of Nandanandan or Yashodanandan. So similarly, Paramanandas ji is saying, Jadhana ko muni japa tapa khojata. They are simply trying to find Nandanandan through their japa and tapa. Vedahu para na payo. And even by studying the Vedas, one cannot obtain this Nandanandan Krishna. Even by studying the Vedas. Pantastu goti vayarothavi manaso puniva vedeshu durlabham adurlabham atma bhakto. Even by studying the Vedas meticulously, one cannot obtain Nandanandan. That's exactly what Paramanandas ji said. So dhana dharyo shirsagar me. That wealth was lying in Shirsagar, in the ocean of milk. Brahma jaya jagayo. Lord Brahma went and woke him up. Oh Satchitanand, please help us. Bhumi has come. She is feeling burdened. Brahma jaya jagayo. Lord Brahma woke him up. Jadhanate Shri Gokula Sukha Lahiyata. Jadhanate Gokula Sukha. This is that kind of treasure. Gokul got that advantage. Sukha Lahiyata. Gokul was able to obtain that treasure. Sagre Kaja Savare. Sagre Kaja Savare. And one who actually fulfills all everybody's desire. Here, Sagre Kaja Savare means fulfilling the desires of the Vrajvasis. So dhana bar bar ur antar parmanand bichare. And that is why Varamvar, again and again, I offer my obeisances unto that dhan of Rajvasis. Jana Jadhanate Shri Gokula Sukha Lahiyata. That wealth that Gokul has obtained. Paramananda Vichare. Paramananda is simply wondering, how did Gokul, how did the Vrajvasis obtain this highest wealth of Nandanandan? So on Nandutsav day, it is said that there is another nice pad that I would like to quickly sing, and then we will call it, because there's so many wonderful pastimes. And Hari Ananta, Hari Katha Ananta. So this is a song that is known as Ashish Pad. Ashish means to give blessings. So all the Vrajvasis, see, nobody knows and nobody cares to know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All of them came, the elder gopis, the gopas, they all were giving blessings to Krishna. And this is known as Ashish Pad. This is actually a very nice a pad that is composed by Surdas ji. And it is called Chiranjiyo Gopal Rani Tero. So I will try to sing this. चीर जियो गोपाल रानी तेरो चीर जियो गोपाल रानी तेरो बैगी बड़ो बड़ होई वीर धलट महरी मनोहर बाल रानी तेरो चीर जियो गोपाल रानी तेरो उपजी पर यो यह कुखी भाग्य बल समुद्र सीप जैसे लाल सब गोकुल के प्राण जीवन धन सब गोकुल के प्राण जीवन धन वैरिण के उरसा रानी तेरो चीर जियो गोपाल चीर जियो गोपाल रानी तेरो चीर जियो गोपाल सूर की तो जिया सुख पावत है देखत श्याम तमाम रजया रजया लागो मेरी अखियन रजया रज लागो मेरी अखियन रोग दोष जन जा रानी तेरो चीर जियो गोपाल रानी तेरो चीर जियो गोपाल. So this Ashish Pad of blessings, all the gopis are assembled on the next day, and after Nanda Maharaj does all the Swasti Vachan and giving donation, giving over 900,000 cows in donation to the Vrajvasis and the Brahmins, and all Vedic hymns and the worship of the demigods and the forefathers, etc., was done. All the different gopis and gopas, they came and they started telling Mother Yashoda. Surdas, who is one of the gopis in Govardhan, in Chandra Sarovar, he sees this appearance ceremony and Nanda Utsav, and he has composed this Ashish Pad where he is saying, Rani, Chiranjiyo Gopal, Rani Tero, may your Gopal, may your little baby live a long life. Live. Chiranji means eternal, forever. Even when we are in our Vedic Sanskriti, when we bow down to the elders, they say Chiranjiva Bhava, Chiranjivi Bhava. Chiranjivi means may you have a long, everlasting life. So similarly, this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and these gopis are giving blessings to him because they don't care to know, or they don't know that he is the Supreme Personality. Rani Tero Chira Jio Gopal. May your Gopal live eternally. Begi Bado Bada Hoy Virada Lata. And may he grow up nicely. Begi Bado. Begi means with great speed. Veg. In Hindi, it is known as Veg. In Braj Bhasha, Begi. Begi bado bada hoy biradalata. And you grow up very nicely, become a nice youth, and may you have these beautiful curly hairs, they also grow nicely. Hoy biradalata. Biradalata means your nice growing hair. Mahari Manohar Lal, one who is so enchanting. Rani Tero, Chira Jio Gopal. Upaji Paryo Saha Kuki Bhagyabal. Just see your own Bhagya, O Yashoda. See how glorious and how fortunate you are. Upaji Paryo, that Krishna appeared in your house. Yaha Kuki Bhagya. What kind of great bhagya you have, what kind of great your what is the word, your fortune is. uh, samudra sipa jaise lal. And how beautiful is your lal? Your Krishna is as beautiful as a shell in the ocean. Samudra Seep. Seep means those oysters. They're so beautiful. When those oysters open, there is a beautiful, most beautiful natural moti or a pearl. And those oysters are also very beautiful. Seep. Those are little seep. Seep means those oysters. So he's saying that your lala is as beautiful as those wonderful oysters, as the seep in the ocean. Sab Gokul ke pran Jivana Dhana. He is indeed the life and soul of Gokul. He is indeed the treasure and life of Gokul. Vairinake Ursal. Vairinake Ursal means Vairi means those who are or demoniac or those who are mischievous, are for them he is big trouble. Vairanaki Ursal, and we all know the different pastimes of Krishna, how many different demoniac personalities he killed. Sur Kito, Sur Das says, Jia Sukh Pavat hai, may he live long, Dekhat Shamata Tamal. And he looks so beautiful like the bluish darkish color of a tamal tree. Raj Araj Lago Meri Akhiyan Rog Dosha Janjal. Raja Araj Lago Meri Akhiyan. I take the dust of your lotus feet. Raja Araj Lago Meri Akhiyan. I take the dust of Gokul, Roga Dosha Janjal, and may all kinds of calamities, all kinds of diseases that may come on you or may not come on you, let me take them over my head. Surdas just says that in his Ashish Pad. Rani Tero, Chir Jio Gopal. Rani Tero, Chir Jio Gopal. So, like this, I think I will conclude here. Happy Janmashtami to all. In the 10th canto, just in the last couple minutes, I would like to kind of just mention the different pastimes of Krishna. And chapter 1, Krishna appears. The introduction is there. Chapter 2, the prayers of the demigods or the Devi Devatas headed by Lord Brahma. Chapter 3, the actual appearance of Lord Krishna happens. Chapter 4, the atrocities of Kamsa happen. And then chapter 5, the meeting of Nanda Maharaj and Vasudev. Then chapter 6 is after the first 6 days, the killing of the first demon, Putna. And then the killing of the demon Trinavrata. And as Krishna shows his universal form, and Mother Yashoda binds Lord Krishna. Also, the Yamal Arjuna, or the pastime of breaking the pots, and Krishna is being bound to a grinding motor. That's in chapter number 10. Then there are other different pastimes of childhood pastimes in chapter 11. And then the killing of the demon Aghasur, the stealing of the boys, the coward boys by Lord Brahma, the Brahma Vimohan Leela. Then how Brahma prays to Lord Krishna. Then the killing of the Dhenugasura demon. Krishna chastises the serpent Kaliya. Then after that, the history of the Kalya is explained. Then Lord Balram slays the demon Pralambasur, swallowing the forest fire, the Davanal, the rainy season or the autumn in Vrindavan, Sharad Purnima. Then the gopis, they sing of the glories of Krishna's flute, the Venugeet. Krishna steals the garments of the unmarried gopis, Vastraharan, Chirharan. Uh, the Brahmana's wives were blessed. And then the worshipping of the Govardhan hill. Lord Krishna lifts the Govardhan hill. Uh, the wonderful Sri Baby Krishna, Nandanandan Krishna, and his pastimes in Vrindavan. Indra and the pastimes of how Mother Surabhi, along with Indra, they come and offer prayers because of Indra's anger that he had expressed by showering 7 days and 7 nights of thunderous rain. So like this, so many wonderful pastimes. Krishna further also then rescues Nanda Maharaj from the abode of Varun. Krishna and the gopis meet for the Ras dance, for the Maharas. And then the Gopi Geet, Krishna disappears. The gopis search for Krishna. The gopis are singing the song of separation, the Gopi Geet. And then the reunion. And then again, the Maharas takes place. So like this, there are so many wonderful pastimes of Radha and Krishna and the Vrajvasis in Vraj Mandal. This is our offering of Janmashtami, and I hope you all have a wonderful Janmashtami with lots of chanting, hearing, remembering of Krishna's Leelas. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. It was not planned to go so long, but somehow the other, it was going. So, Hare Krishna.